Cuffs are off, man. Get right. Too many left in these leagues, but I ain't gonna...
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here. What's up everybody? It's Marcus Grant from NFL Network.
This is AJ Dillon of the Green Bay Packers.
I got to give a shout out to y'all at Get Right Fantasy.
If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? You want to lose your league? Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network. You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
Best of luck with your podcast. Appreciate the support.
And you're tuned in to watch my boys at Get Right Fantasy Network. Get you right. Enjoy the show.
Marking nothing, but I tune in every Friday. Strategies provided, I will lock in every way. So go and roll your sleeves up, yeah. Don't roll your sleeves up. And I'm getting down, cause I roll my sleeves up. And I'm getting right, cause I roll my sleeves.
What up? What up? What up, world? We are back. I'm Anthony, aka Rasta. This is Get Right Fantasy Network. Week 10's in the books, and here to talk about it is my boy Fishing Frank, aka Frank the Champ, who I'm coming to take that belt from this year for sure.
He's trying.
I'm trying hard. But how's it going, man? How was your week 10? And
good.
What'd you take away from this week?
More wins than losses. Not a lot of injuries.
Yes.
Some good games. We had some good games this weekend. But yeah, I just took basically that we didn't have a lot of injuries. That's the important part.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
For sure. For me, I have a couple things that I want to point out, of course. For those of you guys who tuned into the Friday show, I did kind of call that a Cleveland-Baltimore shootout, if you will. I did say it was 38-35, but it ended up 33-31. So both teams in the 30s. So I definitely was onto something there. So I might have to, feed into my gut every once in a while on that. But no, that was just a cool shot. As soon as we said it was going to be a defensive, slugfest, we knew those are the exact games that go complete opposite.
Right.
And then you had, of course, my Niners looking like the Niners again. It was a very good week for us, taking down that W in Jacksonville, stopping a team that was on 5 straight wins. So that was nice. And then last kind of thing I had is I wish every game was like that Chargers Lions game, man. Like that was just a fantasy like bonanza. There's just everyone was scoring points like crazy. It was like you get points, you get points, you get points, everyone got points that started somebody in that game. Jalen Guyton scored a touchdown, Quentin Johnston scored a touchdown, Allen went off, Eckler went off, Herbert went off, and then on the other side of the ball, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery 75-yard touchdown. Everyone basically but Laporta went off in that game as far as the fantasy relevant players. So man, that was a great game. I wish all fantasy games could be 41-38. I mean, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of another team getting 40 points, I mean, the Cowboys did whoop that ass on the Giants again.
Hey,
another 40 burger on them. It's like, come on. Everybody was getting touchdowns over there too.
Yeah, I think you guys are beating them like 84-17 or something like that.
Yeah, so far
the 2 games this year. So that's pretty crazy. As far as my fantasy teams, for anyone who does care out there, I went 12-4 in my leagues this week. So my best week so far. I don't know what that means because the Chiefs and Eagles and all these good teams were on a bye, so apparently I don't have any good players. So that's why my teams finally went off, because all those other people were missing those guys against me. All the Dolphins and Chiefs and all those guys who've been kicking my butt every week. But yeah, so I had a good fantasy week, man. So I'm in good spirits. My Niners win, so I can't really ask for anything more than that. So for those of us that are new to the channel here, maybe you're checking this out for the first time, welcome. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for us. And Frank, why don't you tell the folks what Get Right Fantasy Network has to offer for them here throughout the week?
So yeah, we're talking Monday night overreaction here that we are at today. We do the waiver wire targets as well, and the top picks of the week and the game balls here. Then we got Wednesdays. We do roster management, as Anthony likes to call his Rasta management show,
Rasta
buy, sell,
management.
trade show. Yeah, I got you, man. I got you trading.
Good looking out.
So yeah, buy, sell, trade show targets. And then on Fridays we have the game by game sit starts with always live Q&A on all these shows. And then Sunday morning, Mike's on there for you to, do all the last minutes active, inactive, last minute sit start advice and daily fantasy, you know, insights on
Plays,
some
yeah.
plays and whatever. There, and then yeah, if you guys don't miss, if you're not watching live, don't miss the show. Anthony does put timestamps and chapters in the descriptions, so you can jump ahead to whatever section you want to see, whatever player you want to talk about. So that way you could see the waiver wire, you could see live Q&A, or get into the news and notes. That way you could listen to certain parts as you're driving, or you're sitting around working on the shop or whatever you're doing. So yeah, we appreciate everybody hit that subscribe button, and if you already subbed, hit the like button. We it helps us both ways, and we're trying to get um, well past those 1,000 subs that we got now. So everybody's got to take their time and get into the 1,000 subscriber giveaway. The video's in the description, right, Anthony?
Yeah, we
So you
got it right here in the chat actually for you
Oh, there
guys
we
as
go.
well.
Now we even got it in the chat, so that's even making it that
Boom.
much easier. So go over to that video, listen to it, do what you got to do to get subscribed, and then you get what? Ant? Where's that? Where's that?
I
Bam!
got
There it
you.
is.
Boom.
Get you that ring for you guys. So take a look at that. You just got to do make a comment on that video, so you guys can get enter the chance for win the ring. You do got the all three platforms that we have on here. So we'll check that as time comes to make sure everybody's in there. Um, so what are we doing it here? We got to do a read here. So Anthony wants to pay the bills with who we're getting that ring from, right?
Absolutely. Our boys over at TrophySmack.com, man. For those of you guys who don't know or want to take your league to that next level, maybe you guys get yourself a ring like this or even a belt. They even have, customizable trophies. All their stuff is customizable, including stuff like your, Kirk Cousins chain that you can get there fully customized. Just like what we're doing here with our 1,000 subscriber ring. It is going to be fully customized from our guys over at TrophySmack.com. So make sure you guys go check them out. Links in the description. Use that promo code GetRight at checkout, and that helps support the channel. So go take advantage of that, man. It's awesome to add one of those in addition to whatever else you're playing for. For as little as like $7 a player in a 12 team league, you can add one of these rings that you can keep forever each year for only an additional $7. So definitely consider it. I know we've implemented that in one of our leagues, and then as you guys heard me say in the very beginning, in the intro, we have a belt involved in our long-standing home league as well. 2 of them. No one has yet to have both at the same time, so that is still happening after 20 years here, and we're trying
crazy.
I'm trying to be the first one, no lie.
Yeah.
And I know Frank is. We've both
Oh,
been
I've
close.
been trying.
Yeah, we've both been close, but we just keep switching belts back and forth. So those are awesome, man. Again, go check our boys out over at TrophySmack.com. So let's get into it here, man. Shout out to the chat. We have Ron, of course, calling us out because we're late here, as always. So we appreciate you, Ron, for coming out here. We got Smokey the Cat in the house. He's saying, "What's up, everyone? That trade for Chase is paying off dividends." He's sitting in first place after this week, and I bet you that was nice after Allen hasn't been really playing that well. So maybe this is why you don't veto trades. We thought he was crazy for giving away Josh Allen and someone else for Chase to pair with Joe Burrow. But that's been working out. So good job, Smokey the Cat guy. You know what you're doing. That's why you're here. So there we go. We got the Citizen in the house next week. He's contemplating Dobbs or Tua. So we're definitely getting to Dobbs here and talk about that, I'm sure, coming up here. I know I have him on my waiver wire targets. So we'll definitely get into that later. Citizen, make sure you check in, but I don't see how you could get away from going with Tua, honestly. So we got us exactly. Exactly. You got in with the Devon Achane coming back too, so I can see why he's maybe thinking that if a rushing touchdown or 2 goes to him, that's not going to be less in the air for Tua. So definitely some good stuff we'll get into as the week goes on. We got Smokey the Cat saying that Aguirre fantasy ring is fire, so let's go. Yeah, absolutely. Sue the Music in the house saying is CD and Hall for Tyreek an unfair trade after week 10. I think it's almost paying too much at this point. I mean, I'd rather keep CD and Hall at this point. You would ask me that, 3 weeks ago. CD's been on fire here these last couple
CD's been
weeks.
on fire.
I mean, like bona
That's like
fide top 5.
straight. 4 straight weeks, 150 yards minimum, and touchdowns to go.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I think first player in history to have like 3 for 170 plus or something like that. First in history. Like that's everyone.
crazy.
Justin
Crazy, man.
Jefferson, Chase, that's everyone. No one's done that. So good looking out. We'll get into CD Lamb here later too. We got Big Gomez in here. What's up, man? Or Big Gio Gomez. He says, "What's up, guys? It was a great week there." He says he feels a boy for his bad team. Remember Gio Jr. here, who he got dirty in a trade. Remember he kind of did him a little dirty in that trade after he just beat him. But he said he feels bad for his boys' team that needed to win. He lost 106-1 to 106-3.
Those are rough.
Dang, that is close. That's a rough one, man. Tell your boy, welcome to fantasy football, because if you haven't had a loss like that, you haven't been playing long enough. You need to do more, because those are the ones. I lost a championship like that by 0.1, not 0.02. That's even closer, but I've literally lost the championship by 0.01. Remember, to Jeff?
Yeah.
That was tough.
Ridiculous numbers.
Yeah, that was tough. So man, we've been there. And again, that's the best part of this Overreaction Monday, man. Not only are we just overreacting to all the football, we want to hear stories like that, man. We know most people probably in your life don't care about your fantasy teams or your close wins or close losses. They don't understand, what you're going through. So this is the place you come to on Monday nights, man. We'll share in that bliss with you, or drown ourselves in your sorrow. So make sure you guys come out here and join us on Monday nights, man, to let us know those kind of stories. So please share. So we'll get into the Monday Night Football recap here. Let's do that. Remember, you guys can drop your questions in the chat at any time. We will get to them in between segments. So feel free to do that there. But let's go ahead and get into this Monday Night Football recap, man. We had the Broncos 24 at the Bills 22. The Bills came in favored by 7.5 with a 47.5 point over under. They didn't quite reach that here at the 24-22 score. It was a pretty crazy game, man. You had the Cook fumbles on like the second play of the game. He got basically benched for almost like 2 series. They had the nice touchdown to Kincaid in the first half. They went for 2, remember, because Broncos, missed the extra point, which was crazy.
9-8 at that point.
Exactly. It was just like such a weird, like just game overall. Bills just couldn't get like anything going. They come out of the half. Latavius Murray scores that touchdown. But then, they kind of just, the offense just kind of stalls out basically until they get that last drive, where they don't even throw a single pass. And to top it all off, Cook fumbles again after he fumbled earlier.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then it just bounces like a rugby play and just right back into his hands, and he keeps going for like 20 more yards. That was just super wacky. That would have been just insane, but they, end up getting
the house had he not done that, because he was
right. It kind of slowed him down.
Slowed him down for that, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that could have been a big game for Cook there. Who knows? At least he just kept the ball, because can you imagine you get 2 fumbles like that? Technically, almost the third one.
Positive points instead of negative.
Exactly.
It was not looking good for a while there. If he didn't get that ball later on, it would have been like not even 2 points. I forgot what it was. It was like under a point.
Exactly. And then Josh Allen gets that rushing touchdown, so they go up, kick the extra point. They go up 22-21. Just, on the Broncos side of the ball, they were getting turnovers. Josh Allen throws 2 picks. They get all the fumble from Cook. Josh Allen lost another fumble. So their defense is playing good lately. They have that, obviously once they come down and take the lead, Broncos get the ball back on that last drive. Had a really nice throw to Sutton, on that crossing play. But then he takes that terrible sack when they brought the house. He's like, they're like, you can do anything right here except for take a sack. He takes a sack. And then they go for it again, and they go all out. And that's when he just Hail Marys the ball up like he should have done the first time. And Judy actually beat dude off the line, but had to come back into him. Yeah, if he had him easily 4 or 5 steps, like the dude even tried to help, they could have called holding on him
all the way out there, though.
Yeah, he just threw it up for a prayer, man. It was short, which sometimes is like the best thing for some, for that. The worst thing that can happen for a cornerback, and gets the old, going back for the ball kind of PI. and which I think they really need to take a look at as far as the rules.
Because he ran right into
On a
him,
short
dude.
throw
Right.
like that, if you're playing the guy straight up and the guy has to come back for the ball, like you're rewarding a terrible throw on a quarterback. Like that's not a good throw. Like if you're running, you should be allowed your direction and your inertia. Like if they have to come back into you, that should be pass interference on the offense because they hit you. I don't care if you had your head back or not. Like I don't, but that's a whole conversation for another day. Right now it is pass interference. They called it right. They get the ball, and then the craziest part about it is then you just think, oh, they're going to kick this field goal, but they had already bobbled a snap. They had already missed an extra point. Basically, 2 extra points they missed. One he didn't even get to kick because they couldn't even handle the operation.
Snap right,
and
right?
And then they kick it, and they freaking misses it, and then there's 12 men on the field, man.
That was crazy,
unbelievable. Man. So they gets another try.
What a fail! They had the win.
Oh, they had it.
They had the win. They had the win.
It was insane, man. It was insane.
Lost you the game.
Yeah, it was so crazy, man. Yeah, and like Ron's saying, man, the Bills are definitely in decline. So it's it's just a crazy situation, man. So they end up Will Lutz gets the re-kick and he makes it, and they get the walk-off field goal there, man. So I tell you all that to ask you this, like, what's going on with the Bills, man? Like, you agree with Ron right here? I mean, they're in decline. Like I just think all their defensive injuries, man, they can't they can't recover from it.
It's injuries, man. And sometimes you can't get the next man up to replace them enough. You know what I mean? Sometimes some of these guys are too critical to the system, to the the engine. You know what I mean? Like I just look at the as football teams as engines, and if you're missing too many parts, it's just going to be stumbling, bumbling as you get through there, right?
Oh,
get an acceleration every once in a while. They look good, and then it goes back to idle, and it just can't even stay on, right?
Yeah. And they're sitting at 5-5 right now. I mean, it's crazy to think about it. And if the playoffs started today, they wouldn't even be. They're not even considered a playoff team.
They're not even in the running, right?
Yeah. Right now it's the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Jags, the Dolphins, the Steelers, the Browns, and the Texans. And I'd have to agree that I think all those teams are better than them right now, maybe except for the Steelers. But the Steelers' defense is so good. Their offense doesn't really have to do too much. Kind of same thing with the Browns. And then, Houston's there because CJ Stroud's just amazing. But yeah, man. I mean, just what a crazy night of football. All right before we got on here.
Right? Even Ronald's saying, hey.
Yeah, they're just missing half their defense. Absolutely. Yeah. So there we go, man.
There's been many teams that get the wins regardless of the defense just not being there.
Exactly.
Produce as well.
Exactly. All right, so let's get into it, man. So that'll wrap up our Monday night recap there. Again, the good thing was no major offense injuries that we have to worry about. No sign of Fournette, at least that I saw. So we'll have to see how that continues to go. But yeah, let's get into the chat here.
I was going to say, because we didn't go over the stats here, but Josh Allen did end up with 2 INTs and one fumble, right? So I mean, but I got 1 passing touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown, which is kind of he took it away from the running backs that were down there anyways, and I was like, damn it, this guy can't just pass that in.
Yeah, no, that was rough.
That's just real quick last week. Anyways, go ahead.
No, that was good. Actually, that touchdown I lost one of my leagues on, or else I would have been 13-3.
That Russian touchdown?
Yeah. I lost 145 to 151.
Yeah. No, tough losses.
Yeah, that was a tough one. All right, so let's get in the chat here. Let's see what we got. Let's scroll back up here. We have where did we leave off here after Big Geo? So we have Tingley in the house. He's saying his squad clutched up this week, and he's even and he even started Lawrence. So good job, that Lawrence. It should have been an okay play, man, but our defense came hungry. So good thing you got the win out of that because that was rough. Let's see. We got Ron saying, what's up to Smokey? And here we got Smokey asking, would you give 2 of the following for Justin Jefferson? Bijan, Gibbs, Brees, or Jacobs? 1 flex, I'd have CD, Chase, and JJ, or just keep the running backs. Would you trade 2 of those running backs for Justin Jefferson potentially coming back this week?
No. I mean, I'd give Bijan still. He just had a decent game. He got his touchdown and whatnot, which just took
Yeah,
care
I'd
of it.
package any one of these running backs with like one of your bench guys or like maybe a different starter or a different wide receiver besides Chase or CD. Like, do you have someone like Lockett or, um, you know, someone like that? Because that's what I'd prefer to do. If not, I'd rather just keep all those guys. But yeah,
I'd sell Bijan. Sell high while you can. You don't know
yeah,
what's going to
Bijan
happen
and
next week.
someone. Yeah, hopefully he learned. Finally got his carries. We'll talk about that here in a little bit too. We got Roberto Perez in the house saying, "What up?" He really needs a tight end with Goddard going down. He's currently 6-4, and was wondering if y'all would trade Bijan, Brees, or Achan or Javante for a tight end like McBride. I'd be only trading one of them. Maybe Javante, but again, you're really coming out
That's
on
a bit
top on that.
much. That's a
Yeah,
bit much
like
for you
selling a
paying
running
that.
back for any tight end is kind of crazy. If
Yeah,
you are willing to give up like one of those guys, maybe shoot for like Mark Andrews,
yeah.
Javante, and another piece for
Don't go for
Andrews.
a
But
waiver wire
yeah,
guy
like
that you just missed out on,
yeah, that's a little tough giving up
and
an RB
he's only looking
RB2
like a shiny
or
new toy
higher.
for a little while. You got to get somebody tried and true.
Yeah, you got to remember Ertz is only on IR. He's not out for the season, so he'll be back in a few games there with McBride. So just keep that in mind as well. It wouldn't make sense for them really to start, play Ertz again unless it's just kind of like his going away tour and he wants to play.
Yeah,
But if anything, they should just continue to build that chemistry between McBride and Kyler, um, versus putting Ertz in. But that's just something to kind of keep in mind if Ertz comes back. But McBride, first 100-yard tight end, I think since like the 80s. That was something I heard on one of the podcasts today.
over at
So
Arizona.
yeah, first time in Arizona tight end has gone for over 100 yards in like
That's
20 something
crazy.
years. Yeah, it's almost 30 years, 40 years or something like that. So yeah, just something to keep in mind there.
Yeah, I just don't. I just wouldn't give a running back for a tight end unless, like you're saying, it was Andrews or Kelsey. And then if those two guys are involved, then you got to get running backs involved. But I
Right.
don't think anything other than that. I mean, maybe Hawkinson. I don't know. You got to go to like the top
Yeah, like
3 to
trade one of
4.
those for a higher end wide
Like,
receiver, and that'll
you know,
make up the difference between whatever streaming tight end you have, and then with that extra wide
yeah.
receiver upgrade. So yeah, personally, me, I'm not doing that, but there are some certain circumstances where I guess I'd see you do it, but definitely shoot higher than McBride. Um, Gio saying, "Hey, for you guys in another league, a team was 1-8, and this week is the third or fourth week he didn't move players and had 7 players on his team. He lost by 10, but should have won. What would you guys do?" So almost kind of like a fantasy cop. So you have
Oh,
somebody
that's
that's
cool.
not somebody that's not playing, kind of an abandoned team throughout the year because they kind of out of contention, not setting a legal roster. The problem is the commissioner should have been on top of this kind of right away. I noticed maybe if you do it 1 or 2 weeks, but it's kind of hard to not set a lineup, have notice 2 or something weeks later, and not have someone play it because it's almost kind of like a bye week for everyone. Um, but then you get those times where you just sometimes have a bad week and like 2 or 3 players can just beat your entire team. We've seen that happen.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a tough position to be in. It really just kind of depends on, what you set the standard with. If this is the first time it's been happening, you can have the commissioner set the league. But considering it's 3 or 4 weeks in now, you might just have to let the team, stand as is. And however you play that team, you play that team. And that's really the only thing that's fair. Regardless if some people got them, on bye weeks or something like that. It's nice to have that
So
already if
I,
it's a paid
I
league.
just
Yeah,
I
go
just want
ahead,
to
go ahead.
answer the question real quick. Being the commissioner of 2 leagues for 20 plus years here, not 20 years actually here. Anyways, so I've had this happen by happenstance because the guy went to jail. So his team played out. His team actually won the league without ever having anybody get put in on buys or have anybody replaced. We set the team alone, and whoever played him. You either got your win or your loss. And believe it or not, he had to win the league. Never even managed the team. So take that with a grain of salt. I'm on the point of Anthony.
Yeah.
As long as he's got players in, you just let the team roll. It is a bye week for everybody else, but doing otherwise by like setting lineups, then you're making like decisions to try to
Yeah, it's
make
not
them
fair to the
win
previous
for
team.
somebody who's not even involved in the team, and now you're trying to have them win against other players. I mean, if you just leave it alone, it is what it is. It's just an unfortunate situation, and obviously you got to boot the guy. That's the other part of it because you
Yeah.
don't want that to happen again. You can't have somebody just give up on your team, so they got to go. They're not
Yeah,
playing again.
for sure. Get someone else in there. So yeah, and the only other thing I was going to say is something like this is why folks create like bylaws so that it's already in writing. So should something like this happen, maybe you have it written in the bylaws to where it's either optimal lineup or based on the highest projected players in each position that are still on the team. Like you're not going to do waiver wire, moves to create a
Yeah,
team, but like whoever was
fill in a bye
projected the
week gap or
highest during
something.
that week, and you just set those players in regardless of what they scored, so that you can actually go back. And if it's already written and people have agreed to it, if it does affect wins and losses, then again, it's already something that everybody had agreed to in the beginning of the season. Should a team be orphaned like this mid-season, so again, that's just a good thing to put in there if you guys are playing in those bigger leagues or especially high stakes where it gets serious like that in case things like that happen. Obviously, that's why you tend to play higher stakes because then people aren't apt to just leave in the
Yeah,
middle of a season.
most of
So
the time
that's why,
people pay a couple bucks. They don't want to just be like, whatever. Who
yeah,
cares?
if it's only a $5 buy-in or a free league, then it's kind of like you have to be okay with that. That's why people play for 100, 200, 1,000 or more. Like we've seen leagues where people have to literally drop money in escrow, like it gets serious. Um, so yeah, so it all just depends on what you're doing. So yeah, so sorry I spent so much time on that, but I thought that was a good opportunity for us to address something like that. So great question there,
No,
Gio.
I love it. We want to see more questions like that. Just to, I like talking about league management part of it and like setting up the league. I mean,
Commissioner's
we even
corner almost. Yeah.
commissioner's corner stuff. Yeah, I like that stuff. I like when trades that are pot collusion, maybe not collusion happen, or you know what I mean. Like things happen in leagues. You
Yeah.
know what I mean. Like
Bring all that to us here. We're happy to answer those
yeah,
kind of questions for you
it's
commissioners out
interesting.
there.
I think other people would like to hear what happens too, because they may have the same situations or similar situations happen in their leagues and want to know what to do with theirs as well. You know what I mean? Like,
For
but
sure.
yeah, Anthony's gonna take the show for a second. Be right
Yeah,
back.
yeah, I got you. So yeah, so we got Tingley in here asking how y'all feel about Achan. So for me, I think as long as he's active and ready to go, you're gonna fire him up. I mean, there's nothing there that tells you anything otherwise. You even got Mostert a little banged up now as well too. So I would definitely take a look at it. Gets the Raiders next, which should be a great game for him. I mean, the Raiders have been playing a little tougher lately. Gets the Jets, which might be tough. Washington, Titans, Jets again for the playoffs. Cowboys and Ravens. So it is a kind of a tough, um, some tough run defenses, coming up. But I think he's fast enough and high enough producer to where you kind of gotta ride it out. But I wouldn't be open or I wouldn't be closed to not trying to shop him and see what you could potentially get for him depending on what people are willing to pay, because I think his price is probably as close to as high as it could be at this time than what it could be if he doesn't have that great of games here coming up. So again, always be open to it, but at the same time, don't just take anything because you're good enough just keeping him because he was just a waiver wire pick or maybe a late round pick that you got. So so there you go. Gio said, I told the commissioner to just lock the team and leave it as is. What do you think? So yeah, I think we basically said that. So there we go there. And what do we got? Gio saying, by the way, when I said his boy needed to win, it wasn't his son. His son actually won, is in first place with the best record right now. So shout out to your boy. There we go. So we got Jeezy in the house. What's up, Jeezy? He says, how about the Broncos? Let's ride. So what did they say? Bronco country, let's ride, or something like that. So I
Yeah.
know my boy's a Broncos fan somehow. That just worked out that way. At least he wasn't a Cowboys fan. So he was for a little bit. Dustin got to him, but he switched over and ended up liking the Broncos. But yeah, so he's happy about that. Jesus saying Josh Allen is a bum. So that's tough there. So why don't you go ahead and read George's question there?
So George here says, "Hey, you guys, want to trade Kenneth Walker after a big game? Would I target and who could I target? I need a running back non-PPR format, so standard scoring here."
Yeah.
There's
We
no
talked
Kenneth
more in depth
Walker.
trades on Wednesday, George. I know you're a little newer to us here, or at least as far as being in the chat. I can try to answer some of that maybe real quickly here. Actually, I don't even know who kind of I'd be looking at. Like maybe you can get Kamara off a bad game here. Hoping Carr comes back and we'll still throw to him. It was tough not seeing him get a target till late in the game, and then of course Carr left and Jameis Winston didn't target a running back. I don't think. We all know he throws it down the field. Who else would you be looking at
I
to
think you
trade
could
Ken
target.
Walker for?
I think
You could
could
probably get
target like
Pollard.
Bijan.
I don't know if you can get
Pollard.
Bijan. You can maybe get
Could definitely get
Pollard.
Derrick Henry. He had a terrible game.
Yeah, maybe buy low on Derrick Henry, who has a
Josh
pretty
Jacobs,
decent. Yeah,
but he had a pretty good game
he
though.
had a
I
good
don't know.
game too.
Yeah,
So
somewhere
I
around
think
that
those are a
area.
couple good ones. We can go into more detail on Wednesday, George. I know you'll be here with us. Let's see.
Shoot, that might be. I wish they had protected.
Oh, here we go. Perry. He says 2-flex league. Looking to improve one of his flexes. He just got offered Kamara, and he was giving up
Did,
Puka
did you
and
really quick?
Connor.
Did you give him the spiel?
Oh yeah, if you
Yeah.
guys can put like at Rasta, at Frank, at GRFN, or at Get Right, something like that, just so we know it's a question and it's not just you guys talking amongst yourselves, which we encourage, of course. It'll just help us pick out and get to your questions sooner here,
Sooner for you guys.
and not skip, be able to skip them. So Perry's asking, would you give Kamara, or would you give Puka and Connor for Kamara?
Connor for Kamara.
He says he
I
can
would. I mean,
afford
if you
giving
could get him,
Puka.
that's what you're gonna take.
Yeah, I mean, if you
Connor's
really want
unknown.
the
He's just
upgrade
coming
there,
back from an injury, and Puka is
yeah.
on
Kyler
and
didn't
off
target
right
his
now.
running backs at all over there. I don't mind doing it. You got the uncertainty with Stafford's health and that thumb. Apparently, they say he's okay. We'll get to that here in a second with the news and notes, but I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's a bad trade. I don't think you're like necessarily overpaying. It's Kamara's ceiling, I think, is higher than Connor's.
Yeah.
It's just in full PPR, Puka could still go kind of crazy. But we'll see.
Maybe, depending.
I don't mind. If you want to switch stuff up, I don't think it's an overpay. I think you're all right. Let's see.
I was thinking that keep Connor. It's pretty legit with the boost from Murray. I'm not sure of his workload. I think he's fine. More than fine on that.
You see, Jesus saying the bum ass Bills didn't deserve the 7.5 line. There you go. That's hilarious. And Jesus saying keep Puka, don't do it. So yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to trade Puka because the value you got for him, like the return you're getting, you can't really get better value, if that makes sense. Like you're getting a guy you got off the waiver wire that's basically a low end wide receiver 1. Like there's only a handful of guys that are
2 or 3 now. Come on.
Because Stafford has been hurt for like 1 week. I mean, come on. He's still not going to rank any
still have
lower than like 50.
Okay. Well,
that's just my opinion. But I don't know. I have him in several places, so maybe I'm just like, for example, I was able to trade Puka for Justin Jefferson straight up when Jefferson first got hurt. So I was buying him missing at least 4 to 6 games, plus Puka Nacua, and not having Justin Jefferson for 4 to 6 games, and this guy getting 4 to 6 games of Puka. So just to let you know, like you could probably get good value out there. But again, Justin Jefferson's kind of coming back now. You can't do that now. But anyway, just a thought there.
Puka's not number one. We'll get there.
He could be. They both, what about Waddle and Hill? Like they finished on the top. I mean, you got Kyron Williams coming back too, so maybe it's a good idea.
Telling you.
So yeah. So there we go. All right. So let's get into some news and notes.
Yeah, let's see what we got going on. But first, we got to talk about Underdog.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. You know?
You got it, or you want me to do it?
Yeah, no, I want to go over, Underdog, they got you go underdog.com, you download the app, and we got real money best ball platform with some of the great preseason tournaments like Best Ball Mania 4, where the winner takes home $3 million for first, into the weekly best ball drafts, similar to DFS style. So that's what I like to get into is the weekly DFS and in the pick'em. So, but uh, the pick'ems I think are the best with just like higher or lower on this number. It's easy to go through. A lot of the games are just one specific game and just kind of pick on the teams there for rushing or receiving yards or touchdowns, completions, any all kinds of categories that they have available. Even defensive players for sacks, tackles, interceptions, and you could even do up to 20 times your money. So you got to go sign up and use the promo code Get Right, and you receive 100% deposit match. So that's if you deposit $100, then they'll give you another $100 into your account. So you can't beat that deal. Uh, Plus, they also have the new customer special right now for new customers. In addition to the deposit match, when you use the promo code Get Right, you get to receive a new customer special pickup. Which is I think we have a Joe Burrow. Who is it this week, Anthony? Just to make sure.
Yeah, right
Yeah,
here on
Joe
the
Burrow.
screen. Drew
Joe
Burrow.
Burrow, well, I was on the reset.
No, you're
And
good.
it's
You're good.
higher than half a yard right here. So that's pretty much a free pick right there. So it is subject to change. Obviously if there's somebody injured or whatever. But you just go to so you go download the app. You go to underdogfantasy.com or just go to Underdog Fantasy app. You sign up. You use the promo code Get Right, and you need to pick them. You enter the contest, and start picking a couple other guys. It's super easy, super fun to do. It's just like daily fantasy stuff, man. Too they got, and then obviously we start with them early in our season because we're doing a lot of drafting. So we go over there and do a lot of best ball drafts. How many you got in there this year?
Last year I had 73, I think it was. This year I calmed down a little bit, and I think I'm only in like 34. But I played a little higher, more stakes this year. So
Yeah. So he
like I
balled
got
up a little bit. He
18.
felt he
Yeah, I
felt
was
more
like, I got
comfortable.
18 puppy twos just like by themselves. Like I got 18 entries into one of the puppy two tournament. And of those, right, 18 right now, I think I have 6 that I'm first or second place in that I'm gonna
Ooh,
hopefully
he's
be advancing
flexing.
to. So I'm getting pretty excited with those because I have a couple teams that are looking pretty nice where I was able to get guys, like Noah Brown and some of these Puka Nakuas and some of those guys that I just
Yeah,
took
yeah,
late
yeah.
that ended up paying off, big time.
Paying dividends
So
right now.
yeah, I have a couple Tyreek Hill and Waddle or Tua stacks because I was able to get that stack quite often, drafting those guys late. So yeah, so it's a lot of fun, man. Make sure you guys go check out
Yeah, for sure.
underdogfantasy.com. Use that promo code Get Right. All right, so let's get into some news and notes here. Where we got here news and notes. So we have a couple topics for you here, and then we'll get into just the quick injury updates. Just first and foremost, there are 4 teams on a bye this week. We have the Falcons, the Colts, the Patriots, and the Saints. So just first and foremost, one of our first news topics here. Report came out where it seems like Robert Saleh is being asked this every week. He's saying we're not changing anything at quarterback or play caller. The crazy part is the Aaron Rodgers said that his goal is to actually be back by mid-December, like within the next 30 days. He says, I know it sounds insane, but if you do a good surgery, have a good patient, it makes this possible. So that's kind of intriguing. So
What do you think? This
we'll
is for real?
I don't know, man. We saw Cam Akers come back pretty quickly. Not this quick, but we've seen him do it within the same year. He
It's,
hurt his in preseason and came back for like the last game. I think he came back 16 or 17 and then played through the playoffs that year.
so
So
I was
it's
talking
not
to Smitty,
impossible.
and he brought the same topic up. He said he already picked up Aaron Rodgers and put him in
Oh
the
yeah,
IR
I've seen him
spot.
pick him up. Yeah, I've seen
And I
that.
was like, so you might, if somebody's prone to have an IR spot that they have open, you might want to just take a shot at him if you need a quarterback. I mean, Aaron Rodgers ain't too bad sometimes when you have him in there. I don't think he's going to do it, but why would they? They just paid him a lot of money, contracted him up. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, to me, my take on it is for fantasy, the season's over. Basically, we're sitting at week 11 right now. He's saying mid-December, probably at the soonest. That's going to be week 15. You're not starting Aaron Rodgers coming off the Achilles when he hurt it healthy on the second
fantasy
play.
playoffs.
Yeah, on your first week of your fantasy playoffs. So, and they get the Dolphins, but
They go
maybe
right
if
into
he
the game.
plays good,
Another one right there gets another flat tire.
yeah. So I'm like, so maybe you play him against Washington, and then they get the Browns in the championship. So I don't think it's that great of a play. But if you're sitting with like Tyson Badgett or something, like it's your only guy, then hey, he's worth maybe a stash if you do make it.
Hey, Jesus
there
said
week 15.
Rodgers got to get P tested.
Right.
Hey, not to get on a side note, but all these
We're here for
Raider
side notes.
guys over here smoking these cigars that they show them. I'm telling you, this one guy hit a blunt. I have the video of it. I even made a meme out of that thing. That dude was hitting it. It wasn't just smoking cigars over there, Oakland. I tell you what. So there's more than one team that needs to be.
Did they do that to mask it or something there? So that's funny.
The video. I got it.
Sneak it in. All right. So there you go. So that's your Jets news there. We'll move on here to the Falcons. You have head coach Arthur Smith said he's not going to announce the team starting quarterback yet. Remember, they are on a bye week this week, but he said he'll make that call to start next week. He'll call to start the week next week. So basically, it sounds like hopefully he'll make that earlier on, just so we kind of know. But remember, Taylor Heineke left the game with a hamstring injury. He did not return. So you'll never know. If Heineke's not ready, then Ritter will get announced, as being the starter. Because remember, a lot of these guys are missing 3-4 weeks with these hamstring injuries this year. They're not just coming back, a week or two later. So
finger on the hammy.
Exactly. So he said both players need improvements in certain areas, but he liked where Ritter was after a reset. So what do you think about this here? Do you think it matters for anyone involved if Heineke or Ritter is at the helm?
I think these are desperate ads. I mean, like you need to have somebody there, but
2 QB or super flex only. I mean, we're not talking. Yeah,
and that's about it. I mean, that's where these guys are at. I wouldn't be messing with it anyways. They're terrible over there, Falcons. They got to do something better. That coach, that coach.
There you go. I was just laughing at these guys in the chat here. Oh yeah.
Hey, Crosby did have a blunt.
Yeah.
He knows what I'm talking about.
Crosby with the blunt. Gio said he was there. It's funny you say that about the Raider fan smoking a cigar. He says, I was one of the guys live, and I said, let's wait till the playoffs. He told me to get out from his life. That's hilarious. All right, so we'll move it on here. Other quarterback news here, again, non-injury related. You had quarterback Bailey Zappi come onto the field to replace Mac Jones in that Germany game. He was pinched due to his performance. And that was with the game on the line. They needed a touchdown to win, and subsequently Bailey Zappi comes in and throws a pick to end the game. So I guess if you're just wearing a Patriots jersey, you get that interception. I think I said it a couple weeks back when I was on I think on the Fantasy Fan Line show as a guest. But I said that, good for you Patriots fans, man. This is what you guys get. Just a losing season. You look terrible, bottom of the league. Y'all haven't felt that in like 20 years. So just bask in it.
It's literally that. I seen a stat on that.
I give no F's about how they feel right now. Like I'm just like, welcome to the rest of the
here, right?
Yeah, like welcome to the rest of all of us 31 other teams when y'all were winning for 20 years like in a row, basically.
They said that's the most
let us do anything.
Losses that's all the losses that Brady had in all those years or something like that.
Since he's left, they've already lost more since he's left than they did the entire time.
In the entire time, the entire time he was there.
Oh man, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
right?
So good for them. And suck it. Suck it, all you Patriots fans.
I just remember when they sucked before they had Brady, so I was like, they go right back onto what they're used to.
And they got on their high horses real quick for those 20 years. It wasn't real quick, I guess. It was elongated, but y'all had a nice run. So now you'll be at the bottom for a while. And you can enjoy how we do, trying to get back just into the playoffs again. So good luck with that. To actually be a Super Bowl contender. So again, suck it. So, not a great take, but I'll take the low road on that for sure. Lastly, here you had a little notice we got here. I think almost right before the game. Jacksonville's sheriff office jail records show that Jags wide receiver Zay Jones was arrested on Monday evening on a misdemeanor domestic battery charge. So,
Ooh, that dude's in trouble.
he's been hurt. I think he's only played one full game this year so far. Came back, didn't finish one game, and then started again, and then left that game early as well with another injury. So he's been kind of injury plagued all year. But who knows? Maybe that has something to do with why he got a temper at home. But we won't make jokes about anything like that. Of course, hope everyone involved is okay. And
Hey, speaking of which,
just
because they
something
didn't
to
even
keep your
talk
eyes on.
about Michael Thomas also got arrested.
Oh, we did. We talked about it on Friday, and I do
Okay.
have like a little note in it here later when we talk about Michael Thomas. So,
Well, I just
which
think
will
it
be
was funny they didn't bring it up that much. Then he got injured anyways, and I was like, oh,
right
that's all bad.
after it was like instant karma to that tweet he put out there. Did you see that tweet he put out?
Nah, I don't want.
Anyway, too many sidetracks. All right, so let's get going with these injury updates here. You had Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell said wide receiver Justin Jefferson will continue to ramp up. They did not activate him here this week after practicing on a limited basis. He complimented the work that JJ put in this last week and what he handled. So it sounds like he's progressing nicely. I like just the verbiage that they're using. They're not saying like, oh, we'll see where he is, or it's too early to tell, or we're going to reevaluate. Like it could be coming out, a lot different. I think this is pretty positive. What they're saying doesn't mean anything, but I just think it could be worse. So Kevin O'Connell said the only person who wants JJ back as much as JJ wants to be back would be Kevin O'Connell. So he wants him back just as much. So don't worry, they're trying to get him out there, but they're being smart with them. And as a fantasy player, I don't want him out there unless he's ready to go as well too.
I think why lie though, he'll have a good shot there with Dobbs, man. Dobbs a baller.
Yeah, I'm sure that's why he's a little more excited to get out there after seeing
he's
how
like,
Dobbs has been playing.
Yeah,
he's like, let me get with this guy here. So
yeah.
It'll be fun to see. Yeah. We have the Dolphins running back Devon Achane, who we mentioned earlier. I think you stepped out that time, so I'll have you answer this question here. Obviously, dealing with that knee injury, went on IR. They did open up his 21-day practice window. So what are your thoughts on Devon Achane?
I think that he's got a good opportunity coming back because I think also Mostert got injured as well, right? So
that's funny. It's like exactly how I answered this. Go ahead.
Well, I think he's just plug and play as soon as he's back. They mark him as eligible because I think the window's just open, ready. Right?
Yeah, and that's what I said. I mean, I had mentioned he gets the Raiders this week, which should be a good, nice warm-up game for him, so to speak, even though the Raiders have been playing pretty well. But then he gets the Jets, who are a tough front. Commanders should be pretty easy to run against. But then he gets the Titans, although they've been a little more susceptible on the ground now. But then it's playoffs are Jets, Cowboys, Ravens, which are probably three of the toughest rushing defenses in the league. So just, something to kind of think about. But I think when you're that good, you're almost matchup proof. And I think he's probably one of the closer things to matchup proof, that we've had, at least in the small sample size we've seen so far.
Yeah. And not a lot of touches. A lot of
just very efficient. So. Yeah. Wasn't he like 13 yards per carry or something like that? Like ridiculous that he's averaging. So,
yeah. Some huge numbers. So fire him up as soon as you get him in there.
He's just a home run hitter.
Yeah.
You got to play him. He can win you a week just by himself. And like you said, with Mostert being a little nicked up, you never know what can happen there. He's been carrying the load while all these guys have been out.
Mm-hmm.
So another news here, Vikings running back Alexander Madison, he is in the concussion protocol, left the game early, did not return. You have Chargers tight end Gerald Everett dealing with back issues. He didn't return. You had wide receiver Keenan Allen. He had dealing with the shoulder on that when he got tackled right on that shoulder. Went to the locker room, came back, finished out the game. Monster game for him. They're saying Brandon Staley's saying they're both considered day to day. So you like to hear that, not week to week. So hopefully they'll be ready to go this weekend. Not on such a good side of that. Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins. He was projected as a non-participant since they play Thursday night at the Ravens. On a short week, they're considered, or it's considered unlikely that T. Higgins will be able to return from his hamstring injury to play Thursday. So expect him to potentially, or most likely, be out this week. So start making plans early. Again, they play on Thursday
because he was He was starting to ball out a little bit.
Yeah, he was. He looked like he was popping there. On the other side of the ball, or not on the other side of the ball, but I guess down the line on the other side of the field, Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase came into the game with the back injury. He was kind of game time decision. Was active. Didn't look like he suffered any setbacks. Saying his back is moving in a positive direction. So to me, that means no setbacks. It's going, continuing to progress, not regress.
Yeah, he was fine.
So that's
He
a good
was even
thing.
playing in the game even after he landed on his back. They even put like an electroshock or massage right on him at the back, heating his back.
Yeah.
So
And
it
then
was just
he's just going to be
a matter of
limited all week.
maintenance. Yeah, it was just a matter of maintenance for him.
You just never know with the back, man. Those things can just tighten up. You just can't move. So
Yeah.
it all just depends on that treatment that you get. So I'm sure we all been there as older folks
right?
here.
Yeah.
you
Even younger
have
folks, man, you might,
it
got
could
a
happen
sports injury. You'll
for
know.
sure, for sure. You have Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson. He'll have tests on his ankle today. He left the game in a walking boot. He says he doesn't feel great, or he didn't feel great then, but he said he'll be fine. He added that he'll be ready to go next Sunday. So again, you like hearing those words coming out of the player's mouth instead of, oh, we'll see how
positive.
it responds
see how
this
it
week
goes.
and blah blah blah. Yeah, like he's trying to be out there. So, and then again, obviously finished the game. And he was hurt all second half and still ran and took a moment on the sideline there.
They
So
came back for the
you
win,
like to
right?
see that. Yeah, you like to see that. So and they get the win, 33-31 in that shootout against those two top defenses. So pretty crazy. Then you have Rams quarterback Matt Stafford. Kind of mentioned it earlier, but Sean McVay says he should be ready to play Rams versus Seattle this Sunday. He said although he's not 100%, he'll be pushing through it. So most likely dealing with some pain or maybe taped up or something like that. But they're planning on him playing. And for those of you guys who don't know, I don't know how you wouldn't, considering you guys are watching Monday night fantasy football podcast. You probably know these things already, but they did sign Carson Wentz to the team as the number 2 quarterback and released Brett Rippin. So he's no longer there. So Wentz is the number 2.
One show, no go.
Exactly. Yeah, they said that's not what we're looking for after one start. So he had a pretty short leash there.
But I think Matthew Stafford to start out of any of these guys. I've seen that dude just take brutal hits and just be playing through injury after injury during the game. So he's a baller. He'll get out there
for sure, and that's good news, of course, for Nakua and Cup. So we definitely want to see that
for sure.
We mentioned it kind of briefly. Michael Thomas, he suffered a fairly significant knee injury in Sunday's loss. They're saying it's not season-ending, but they are looking at second opinions. Then to top it off, as we mentioned, he was arrested on Friday night. So who knows what's going to happen there with Mike Thomas, but expect him to miss some time.
What happened before that stuff? But it already had to do with a contractor or some other stuff, and
he was throwing bricks at the car or something weird.
Yeah,
throwing
bricks at the contractor's car
or something.
Fucking up his shit, basically.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. See what happens there. Then you got also with the Saints quarterback Derek Carr. He got high load. If you happen to see that, he got rocked. Yeah, someone was taking him out low, then he got taken out high. Kind of just went pow. Pretty bad. Pretty bad hit. Landed him in concussion protocol, which he's going through now. Good thing is they do have a bye week this week, so it'll give him hopefully time to heal, and he'll be ready to go when they come out of the bye in week 12. But also, in addition to that concussion, he landed on his shoulder pretty bad. Remember, he was already dealing with that AC joint issues, so that just kind of probably flared that back up again. Yep. And I remember that first game, he didn't look great, but then started looking a lot better after that. They're saying the shoulder did check out fine after getting hit there against the Vikings, but it's the concussion protocol that kept him out of the game because I think he was actually knocked out for a second too. So,
he's not coming back.
Yeah, so he's definitely going to go through that. So hopefully he's okay.
You have hit real quick.
There you go. Then you have the test on the Patriots running back Ramondre Stevenson's back injury from Sunday came back negative. So it said his back tightened up a little bit, but it's not considered serious. So again, Patriots have a bye, so hopefully he'll be ready to go when they come out of that week 12. So again, if you guys got anything in the chat, comments, questions, let us know how you did this week in all your leagues, or If you suffered a bad loss or an awesome win, a clutch win, we want to hear about it. This is a place to share. So we have, let's see.
Yeah, that guy.
Yep, Flex Lord Chino. How's it going, man? Says, hey guys, I just traded away Connor and Ford for Bijan and London. What are your guys' thoughts and opinions? It's a full PPR 10-man redraft league. Did he overpay or is it okay? And he just wants some second and third thoughts here. We'll give him. So what do you think of that first? Giving away Connor and Ford for Bijan and London.
Well, I'm not sure if I would have traded away Connor and Ford for Bijan and London.
I mean, you got the best player in the deal, talent-wise, in Bijan. You like the usage now. I just don't like getting both guys on the same team.
And London has been
especially
doing that well this season. I mean, neither has Bijan, honestly. He just finally had his breakout game. Hopefully he continues that, but I would have rather kept Connor and Ford, personally.
Yeah. I mean, I think I don't mind going Connor and Ford, upgrade to Bijan. I just wish it would have been some other wide receiver instead of London, just because I don't like stacking the Falcons. Plus, they both have a bye week this week coming up. But as far as an overpay, I really don't think it's an overpay. It's just a matter of the intangibles, I guess you would say, the fallout from the trade as far as bye weeks and them being on the same team and that not really being a high-scoring team, in the first place. So you hope that Heineke stays to make them, I think, both a little more relevant, so that Ritter's not, vulturing Bijan as much. As far as that rushing upside, maybe Heineke probably tend to drop off to him a little more. And of course, Heineke's gonna be better for London as well over the long term. So I think just talent for talent in a vacuum. I don't think he overpaid. I just probably would have gone about it a little differently. That's just me.
Yeah.
So hopefully you're okay with that there. What else do we got here? Everyone just kind of talking amongst themselves there. Responding to kind of some of the stuff we were saying. We got Gio here. He says, hey guys, he needs to drop one running back. He has Stevenson, James Cook, Kyron Williams, Gus Edwards, and Eckler's his number one. So first and foremost, try to trade these guys, like do a 2-for-1 to upgrade another position, even if you're overpaying. It's better than just giving someone for free. Maybe of course with Stevenson being on a bye, or maybe James Cook, maybe you can sell him high after having this game that everybody saw on national TV.
Yeah.
Maybe look to package him and one of your lower receivers to get like a wide receiver 2, mid or high end wide receiver 2. Maybe you take a chance on someone like Ridley, who you could probably buy low right now. Who else? Maybe Nakua, maybe Cup with them coming off bye. Try to maybe sell high on James Cook and some other piece to upgrade somewhere is what I would try to do, or try to take 2 of these
and move
guys
on
and upgrade
Stevenson
to a better,
and James Cook.
Yeah, package both of them and try to get a better running back, maybe a Devon Achane or something. So sell them both high coming off this game. But if you did have, so let's say he tries all that, can't find anybody to take them. If you did, gun to your head, have to drop one of these guys, who are you dropping?
If I had to drop one of them, just say, hey, I had to, just can't do it. Cook.
Yeah. I think I'm with you there. It would just suck because he's coming off a good game right now. But yeah, if I had to drop one, it'd be
And he
between
fumbled
Cook or
twice in
Stevenson.
that good game?
Yeah. Technically 3, but they gave the other fumble to Allen, it looks like.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The one that was in a handoff.
But he didn't take that handoff.
Hands up even on that.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. So
I mean, they got what's his name over there?
the chat's saying drop Gus. So you got Ron saying drop Gus, GZ saying what? He's saying no way he drops Cook before Gus. Everyone's saying drop Gus. I mean, Gus has been playing pretty well. He's on a rushing positive defense. I mean, yeah, you got Keaton Mitchell kind of coming in, eating in some work here or there.
Yeah.
You got Justice Hill. He's kind of part of a three-headed backfield. I mean, I could see it. But again, I'd like to try to just sell these guys versus having to drop somebody. But I could get behind there. I'll go with the chat. I'll switch my mind. I'll go Gus, I guess.
Easily influenced.
But I don't know. If we wouldn't have all seen him play tonight, we would all been saying James Cook. No, I
Yeah, it's James Cook. That's who's got to go.
don't know if one game can completely change my mind on 9 other games that we've seen. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's see. And he said, "Thanks, guys. I agree." So I think he's agreeing with them in the chat, not us. So there we go.
Yeah.
All right. So we're caught up in the chat. So keep it
Yeah.
coming, whatever you guys got. Let's get into our top performers and game balls, man. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Let's switch the banner here. Weekly top performers and game balls. So go ahead, man. Your segment. You
Yeah,
take
let's
it over.
check it out. We're making sure we're at 6 point per passing touchdowns here for the quarterbacks, and then half PPR. So we got Dak Prescott leading the way for the Cowboys here. Clearly the number one QB, 45.86 fantasy points. The win 49-17 for over the Giants. He went 26-35, 444 yards, 4 touchdowns. They did get a pick on him this week. But I mean, other than that, it was just phenomenal gameplay. QB rating of 138.27, 74.3 yard average,
Completion percentage.
completion percentage. Sorry about that. And 11.5 yards average per attempt. That's pretty deep already. He did get 2 rushing attempts and a touchdown, 17 yards for an 8.5 yard average there. Yeah, very stellar performance by him. And it's been, 3-4 weeks in a row. I think you have him in your couple of leagues that you're mentioning that you
Don't
have
even get
him
me
and
started.
CJ
CJ Stroud.
Stroud.
And guess who I started this week?
CJ
Of
Stroud.
course,
Right?
CJ Stroud. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I keep alternating them back
Yeah.
and forth.
Can't
One
get the
goes off,
optimal
I
point.
play the other one. The other one
They're
goes
not
off,
doing
I
that
play
bad
the other
for
one.
you. They're not doing bad for you either.
No, yeah, they've been finishing
that
like
week.
top 5 each, but yeah, this week was a pretty significant difference.
Yeah.
As far as like a regular score. But again, when CJ went for 51, I had him on my bench, and he goes for 45, which is damn near 51, and he's on my bench. So still won the game, but yeah, it's tough. Yeah, again, good spot to be in. Anyway, go ahead. Who's the QB2?
So we got Justin Herbert coming in at QB2 here. They ended up with the 38-41 final versus Detroit. He had 27 for 40, 323 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 INT, another 4 touchdown game guy here. So that's what it takes to get up here in the number 1 and 2 spots here, right? Quarterback rating of 114.9, 67.5% completion percentage at 8.1 yards a attempt. We got 4 rushing attempts of 15 yards for 3.8 yard average, no touchdown on the ground for him. He did end up the day with 36.42 fantasy points. Another guy that we both like, Anthony. I think he was going 5th.
That's my quarterback.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think I have the most. I have like the most shares of him across all my leagues. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
that
doing
Herbert Allen
well.
stack I was getting because it was like the most value you could get on draft day. So of course I have a ton of teams that way because I'm a sucker for a deal.
These are the guys that going at the right spot. He did the best value for the bang for the value, right?
Him and Keenan Allen, yeah.
Sam Howell here continues to play well over there for the Washington Commanders. A final of 29-26 at Seattle. He ends up going 29 for 44, 312 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 fumble lost. He gets a QB rating of 109.28, 65.9% completion rating with 7 yards average attempt here. 2 rushing attempts as well, 17 yards for 8.5. I mean, that's seems like the average that these guys are doing is like 2 to 3 rushing attempts over here at the top. So
It's
they're definitely I'm just saying they're just being quarterbacks though. They're staying in their pocket. You know what I mean? And passing the ball around. Because a lot of nowadays there's a lot of rushing going around. So that's good. It's nice to see that that's working still. He ends up going for 30.18 fantasy points on the day. So QB3 for the day. Now you got your guy, Brock Purdy, huh?
Ayo.
QB4 here for San Francisco going 3-34 at Jacksonville. Just absolutely crushed in Jacksonville.
Yes, sir.
After the bye, they were prepared. They had a 3-game losing streak. They had to stop that slide, nip that in the butt. So somebody had to take the L. Instead of go 19-26 to 296 yards, 3 touchdowns on the game. QB rating 148.88,
It's higher than your
73.1%.
boy Dak right there.
Ooh, yeah, he said 73.1% completion percentage. That one INT hurt him. 11.4 yards at attempt. So yeah, he ends up with 29.84 fantasy points on the game on the day. No rushing attempts. I thought he had at least some rushing.
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
Oh wow.
He rolled out, but he threw it every time
Yeah,
or
he
took a
threw it.
sack.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, he's doing the right thing. Not
Yes.
turning over the ball. Don't turn over.
Almost on that first touchdown. Could have very well been 2 touchdowns and 1 pick, but
Yeah.
we won't
Yeah.
go
Oh yeah. I remember that.
there. We won't talk about
Seen
that.
that.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Brandon.
People are like, "What is this guy throwing to?"
Yeah. Don't throw
Uh,
back across the field. We all know that. You learn that in Madden.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Real quick.
Yeah.
So Geno Smith here ends up with the QB5. Finally
Let's
has a
go.
decent game.
Finally. Nice to see you here finally,
After
Gino.
the flop that he had last week.
Yes.
Anyways, he goes the final 29-26 versus Washington.
In the W.
Getting 31-47, 369 yards, and 2 TDs on this day. QB rating of 103.95, 66% completion
Percentage.
percentage. 7.9 yards per attempt, 1 attempt for 13 yards. So ends up with 28.806 fantasy points on the day. Yeah, you're welcome to the scoreboard here, Geno Smith, QB5 for the day.
There you go.
Who are you going to give your game ball to?
Game ball for me. Well, I just want to give a couple honorable mentions. You had Josh Dobbs, the aforementioned, finishing at QB6, just behind Gino at 27.12 fantasy points. So, we're talking, what is that? Like literally like 0.5 point, like less than like 0.4 points. So he's an honorable mention for that 5 spot there. And then you had Jared Goff in that awesome game with Detroit and the Chargers finishing with 25.12. But I have to go with Geno Smith, man. I'd made a big trade for him in a fantasy league after I had lost Ritter and Jimmy G. I was able to acquire him in a trade. And
the waiver wire. Come on now.
I had to give it to him because I never seen him up here before. So I've already, so I had to give it to my guy. He saved me in a ton of leagues this week. So Gino, welcome to top 5. Probably won't see you here again. So while you're here, you're gonna get Rasta's game ball for the quarterback position. So there we go. And let's just have some more games like this for the rest of the year. I don't mind.
Although I could easily give it to my boy Dak, I am gonna go with Dobbs that you mentioned. I think Dobbs is fucking amazing story. You know what I mean? Like, just the whole thing that's been going on with them, starting with Washington. Arizona, and I think he was somewhere else before he even was with Arizona. Anyways,
yeah, it was with Pittsburgh, wasn't it?
I can't.
No. The Browns.
Okay,
same right division, wrong team.
Yeah, so he goes from the Browns to Arizona, plays over there. Arizona says,
immediately starts over there like week 1.
Yeah.
He got traded like the last week of preseason, gets like 2-3 days practice and a whole new system, starts week 1.
Yeah, replaces Josh Toon last minute, right?
Clayton
I remember because
yeah.
Clayton Toon, whatever his name is, nobody even cares, right? That guy,
yeah,
it doesn't matter. And just goes over there from Arizona, gets traded over here to Minnesota. Literally has to start last week after the guy gets injured. Even though he was going to come and play, but I mean, he probably barely got the playbook on the play right over. And then he starts again today here, and gets a pretty decent game going. Ends up with 25.1 fantasy points over here. Center score, I got to go into 6 point here, but yeah, I mean that guy's just balling out, dude. Like I picked him up already, and I started him, and it did great for me. I'm like, this dude's the real deal. And I can't believe people passed him up on like that. You know what I mean? Like, he just literally got moved on to a different team, and they probably should have kept that guy.
For sure. Jeezy, we give out game balls for every position, so stick with us. We'll get to wide receivers here soon, my guy. We'll get there. And we got EK Price in here saying, good evening, fellas. Good evening, EK. He said, another weekend, another sad performance for Tony Pollard. So how does Tony Pollard not eat? Like, Dwaddle, he outscored this dude.
Dowdle.
Yeah, how does he outscore him?
He's a pickup.
That's
He's
what I'm
gonna be a
saying. We'll
pickup.
get to that here soon. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, how does he score more than Pollard? Like Ron said, man, he's starting to worry. So am I. It's a tough situation. So, we'll see. But yeah, so stick with us, Jeezy. We'll get in there soon. Ron says Dobbs is the real deal. He's not a rookie. He's a journeyman. He's kind of like the new Fitzmagic, just coming in, doing stuff. So just so you guys know, 23 completions, 34 attempts, 268 yards, 1 touchdown in the air, 8 carries, 44 yards, another touchdown on the ground. So he's doing it all, man. He's looking great over there with the weapons he has and behind that line in Minnesota versus what he was doing in Arizona. And he's 2-0 with them right now. So, and has Justin Jefferson, arguably the best wide receiver in the league, coming back possibly this week. So at least we're all excited, man. I'm excited as a JJ owner. So hopefully you went and got JJ. So there we go. Jesus said, "Oh, LOL, my bad. I'm new around here." I know, it's all good, man. Great to catch you here on a Monday. Usually he's more with us on
And I
Fridays.
do
So
gotta say this. I don't think I'm just gonna finish off this talk because we
yeah, go ahead.
already. So I'd say he did have some pretty good runs in the game. He wasn't always running into the back of the guys. It is partly because of the plays. I think the runs that he's getting. I think it looked way better once Rico Dowdle got in there, and then he kind of got fired up again too. So it's almost like he needs that guy that's like like Zeke was there, taking some pounding in there so he could just like come and be explosive. But either way, I think it's going to go into a timeshare here pretty soon, regardless.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. Gio says, I'm going to throw a hook. Pack up Cook or package Cook and a wide receiver. I have Adams, Debo, Pittman, Dell, Deontay Johnson, and Ridley. I'd say Cook and Ridley if you can, or Cook and DJ. I know Classic Mike would tell you not to pack DJ. And then depending on who you're trying to get, if you're shooting high, you can maybe sell high on Ting Dell and Cook right now. And again, I don't know who you'd maybe get. But yeah, or maybe even sell high if you really want to on Debo, just because he's not getting a lot of targets. But the dude usually finds the end zone and he puts in that work. It's just he can have like 6 points or like 20. I don't think there's really anything in between sometimes. So
Yeah.
what do you think on this one?
I would say maybe move Pittman. Ridley, I don't think he's going to go with Ridley. Who's going to take what are you going to get with Ridley? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think Deontay
you'd have
Johnson
to
is
find
probably one of
someone who
those
likes
right
them.
guys. Cook would be a good guy to move right now, but what are you shooting for?
Yeah, I mean Pittman just came off 12 targets, 8 catches for 84 yards, and not a great game against a pretty good defense with New England. So I still can't get rid of Pittman as much as I didn't like him preseason.
No,
But if you have him now, I don't
no,
think
you
you can
like
really
him.
get
He's
rid of
like,
him.
no, don't get rid of that guy.
I really don't want to get rid of Dell, but like I said, just because you're trading somebody doesn't mean you're just getting rid of them because you think they're going to be shitty. Like sometimes you have to give good pieces to get good pieces. So you're just hoping to give someone like Dell and Cook or Dell and DJ or Dell and Ridley to upgrade, someone to put with Adams and Debo. But I would definitely try to package, 2 of those and upgrade at that wide receiver. I just don't know who quite I would get. Maybe Olave, but Olave's kind of coming off a big game right now.
Yeah.
You're not getting someone like AJ Brown. You're not getting CD. You're not getting Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, nobody's getting off CD right
Like
now.
maybe you have a chance at Justin Jefferson if they don't activate him. So you might have to write out the week, and if they don't activate him again, and that guy's like whoever has JJ needs the win or go home kind of a thing because it's getting close, to these playoffs here. If he's in a must win, then maybe you can send a package to him to have him get off JJ. But if he's held him this far, I don't know how you'd get rid of him now. So yeah, and like Ron's saying, I'm not trying to trade away Pittman either.
Everybody's traded. Anthony traded everybody before.
Yeah, everyone has their price.
George Play said, "01 says, which quarterback should I drop, Purdy or Fields?"
Man, if you need some upside, which I'm assuming if you've had Purdy or Fields, you at least got by this last week, I think Fields has a higher upside, but if you just need more of like a steady Eddie type guy, you can go with Purdy. Like he's probably going to get you 2 touchdowns, a week. May not have a lot of attempts or, a lot of yardage.
Yeah, it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, even
but it'll just be like
this weekend finally.
Yeah, that sucked. He couldn't get the record. Just tied it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Fields could literally win you weeks, like if he's back to the Fields, of old. So it's a tough one, but there we go. George says, should I try to trade Purdy and Dell for Swift? I don't mind that upgrade, especially if we're thinking of just dropping Purdy anyway. Again, I always like trying to trade, put him with another player and try to get someone else. So yeah, I would absolutely do that. And you technically are paying a lot, I guess, but you're going to drop him anyway. So basically, you're just trading Dell for Swift, which I think is, not a bad upgrade there. If you need a running back. Let's see. You definitely didn't like Pittman preseason, side eye. Yeah, because of Richardson. But I came across, by like week 3, I came back and said, I ate my crow. I got the receipt on that one. So, but yeah, I had traded Pittman away. I loved him the year before.
You didn't even like
Wentz, but
Bobby.
I
I think you
traded
made
him
him a
away.
keeper for it. He was a keeper for Bobby. Remember, we were sending the keepers. He's like, "No, I wouldn't have kept
Yeah, I
that
was like,
Pittman."
oh, Pittman? I was like, oh, I
Yeah,
won
yeah,
already.
yeah. That one,
Peacekeeping
yeah.
Pittman.
And
But he turned
look
out
where he's
nice.
at now. He turned out really nice.
Yeah, he turned out nice. So I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna just stay on my take just because.
Yeah.
I'll come around.
And
I might have to eat crow on this Kyler Murray take too, because they actually look pretty good running around. I didn't think he'd be running around like he did. And he looked like he held up pretty well. So
All right,
maybe because he's a smaller guy.
Let's get back to where we were at, though.
Yeah, that was just giving my take
yeah,
over there.
I know. And we're not getting into. No, I just wanted to round it back to the running backs now.
Oh yeah, we weren't even.
Yes,
This was just in between.
yeah. Side you real quick.
Yeah, you
Back
did.
over here to the
Got in the
top
chat.
performers of the week. Yes, I know.
Good job. Go ahead.
We got
Running back
running
position.
backs here. Number 1 here for the week, which is crazy looking at Jahmyr Gibbs here, running back
Yeah.
1. Although our boy had a really nice run over there.
Demont. Yeah.
Demont, yeah, David Montgomery was running pretty good. But so I mean, maybe both of these guys could eat with the 38 final score 38-41 at the Chargers. There, they go 14 attempts to 77 yards, 5.5 yard average, 2 touchdowns on the day, 5 receiving targets, 5 targets in the air, 3 receptions, 35 yards. Total points for 24.7 fantasy points, which is exactly what the RB tied up for the RB1 is Brian Robinson Jr. there at Washington. I know that you were a fan of this guy here at B-Rob.
Yeah.
Um,
All those points on my bench this week.
that's terrible. It's terrible.
Yep.
No confidence
Almost
in this
everywhere.
guy,
Yeah, everywhere. I did not start him.
well, you did start him somewhere because you got all of the best ball leagues. So I'm sure you got plenty.
Yeah,
there,
on my
right?
best ball ones. Yeah.
There you go. So you got.
You're right. Thank you for that. Yeah, it makes me
you're
feel a
welcome.
little
I got
better.
you.
Yeah,
I got
appreciate
you.
that. Actually,
Final,
did make me feel a little better.
29-26 here at Seattle. We get 8 attempts for 38 yards, 4.8 yard average, 6 targets in the air, 6 receptions, 119 yards, and the TD there. That's where he's making his bread and butter. Call him, put him in the third down, and target him once or twice. Next, he goes off and gets a touchdown. So RB1 of the week as well. 24.7 fantasy points. Then we move into Devin Singletary going RB3. Final score of 27-30 at Cincinnati. Houston's doing some stuff here and there. They broke their Cincy's win streak, right? It was a good game there. 30 attempts, 150 yards, 30 attempts, dude. That's crazy numbers right there.
Yeah. That's some Derrick
150
Henry
yards.
numbers there.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
yeah.
Houston. Yeah.
Yeah, full on replace Damian Pierce. Who's that guy? 5 yard average, touchdown, 2 targets, 1 reception for 11 yards. So he's definitely the guy just getting the ball and eating over there. 22.6 fantasy points on the day on your RB3. Then we move on to our boy Austin Eckler, friend of the show here.
Yes.
He's coming in at RB4 today.
Doing Eckler things.
Yeah, it's Eckler things, exactly. Final score 38-41 versus Detroit. Big old shootout here. 19 attempts, 67 yards, 3.5 yard average on the TD. Then he also gets 7 targets, 4 receptions for 48 yards. Just getting that combination of yardage in the air and on the ground. And always getting those touchdowns, 19.5 fantasy points on the day. And finally, we got Kenneth Walker here, Ken Walker Jr. the third. Finished off the 29-26 versus the Washington game. Another guy, coming out of that Washington game aside from Brian Robinson. So we got two of them out of that game here. Going final 29-26 of the game. 19 attempts, 63 yards, 3.3 yard average, two targets, one reception for 64 yards, and to the house for the TD on that. So 19.2 fantasy points on the day.
He's a home run hitter.
Yeah, he's getting it. Who you taking on there?
My game ball for this one, that's tough, man. But I think I have to go with David Montgomery. Coming back off the bye week,
Oh, you
fired
stole
him
my
up
guy.
this week. Oh, did I really? Oh, see, I thought I was gonna reach. I thought I was gonna let it go.
No.
My other guy would have been Jalen Warren potentially here, but he's sat on the bench on several of my teams as well too. How many times I've been telling you guys, just get Jalen Warren into trade. Like if you need another piece, just ask for Jalen Warren. Like every trade, I was like, you can get so and so and Jalen Warren. But anyway, I'm gonna go with David Montgomery, man. Obviously, the big part of it was that 75-yard touchdown run, but the fact that he could break a 75-yard touchdown run after coming back from injuries, what you like to see. Only had 12 carries, 116 yards, and a touchdown. Finished as your RB8 overall in half PPR. Again, you had Jahmyr Gibbs from that same game, like I was talking about. We just wish all these games, Eckler, Gibbs, Montgomery, all in the top 8 from this game. Keenan Allen, which we'll get to here, our wide receiver one, of the week. You got Herbert as the QB 3 or 4. I mean, Jared Goff was the QB 7. I mean, everyone ate in this game. But I liked what I saw out of David Montgomery coming back from his injury, 116 yards again. Of course, if you take that big run out, it's not going to really look as good. But he could have just had, he could have had several more runs. He just got it all done in one shot. So I hate when people kind of say, "Oh, if you take this away," because it still happened, especially a big play. Like you could have just got the same amount of yardage, just in different chunks. So. Or maybe just a little bit less yardage, but still finish the drive with the touchdown. So 17.6 half PPR points, RB8 overall, game ball to David Montgomery. Who's your game ball going to?
Well, I'll go with Denver Singletary because he just earned himself a job over there, right? Damian Pierce is not going to be coming around, I don't think, anymore. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to move on from that guy. But the game he had, 30 attempts, 150 yards, that's a lot. You know what I mean?
And that was with CJ Stroud and Noah Brown and Dell all going crazy too.
He's going crazy, right? So I think he's definitely a pickup if you could get him. Devin Singletary here because he's definitely got himself in a nice spot. CJ Stroud throwing the ball around. I mean, that offense is eating right now.
It's going to open up the rushing there because you have to play the pass.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all good things. All good things over there. That's who I'm going to go with my big game ball this week with.
Very cool. All right, let's go on to the wide receiver 3 here.
So, so now we're going to get into the wide receivers. We're going to start off with Keenan Allen at the wide receiver 1 spot there. Final of 38 for 41 with his Detroit game. Again, producing a lot of points over there. So that's why these guys are over here, right? In some of these similar games, right? 14 targets, 11 receptions, 175 yards, and 2 TDs. 175, man. Throwing it down.
Ooh.
35
and got hurt and missed time. Could have had more.
Yeah. He had the shoulder injury, and then he came back and dropped some. I was worried. I was like, "Oh no, not my guy."
Oh yeah, you have in the
came right
Dynasty
back
league,
in and scored another time, and he scored another touchdown.
Yes,
after
a big one too. It was like a 38-yarder. That was like a big one too.
Yeah, so it wasn't like
on a
he
fourth.
was like,
wasn't it a fourth down play too? I think it was on a fourth down play.
Yeah,
that was really good. Like, such a great game.
It was a really good game. Yeah, exactly. Another good game here with CD Lamb here. They're coming in at wide receiver 2. I think this is 4th week in a row over here, sitting over here at these top 5 spots. He's getting a final of 49-17 against the Giants. The G-men there, Dak is just owning the G-men lately. 14 targets, 11 receptions, 151 yards, and a touchdown. He got 1 rushing attempt, 14 yards, and a touchdown because he did like some trick play. He got the ball, boom,
instead of Pollard.
The house. Yeah,
Pollard had a rushing touchdown. Dowdle had a rushing touchdown. Everybody had a rushing touchdown, but Pollard.
Right?
Poor Pollard.
It's terrible.
Poor Pollard.
Terrible. He got sniped there in the spot.
Yeah.
34 fantasy points on the day at your number 2 spot, CD Lamb.
There you go.
Then we
from
got
the same game.
From the same game, same team. Brandon Cooks finally showing up. Another waiver wire ad at the WR3 here in Dallas. Uh, he gets 10 targets, 9 receptions, 173 yards, and another touchdown here. 27.8 fantasy points. So these guys are eating over there with Dak just flinging it around. It's that's why the offense is not really going on the ground like everybody thought. That it was just going to be Pollard ground game and then Dak just supporting that whole thing. At least that's what we were thinking at the beginning of the year.
Hmm.
That's why we drafted Pollard so high. Because we knew he was going to be the only one man show over there, and he still has been. He gets the majority of touches, just ain't doing the work with them. So
Yeah.
definitely these receivers are eating, and Brandon Cooks, who they traded for at the beginning of the year, definitely beneficiary of the whole situation, right?
Hmm.
Finally getting to eat
Well,
pretty good.
Giants lost like all their secondary too, and so they had no one that could keep
Yeah,
up
they
with
had
Cooks, and it was
nobody.
just a bad, yeah, just a
Yeah,
bad
it
situation.
was just like it was
Imagine
going to
being
be
like a
better already,
rookie,
but it just made it
yeah,
even worse. But they did
having to
score at
cover
the end.
one
I
of the
mean,
best.
after
Yeah,
Cowboys like pretty much sat everybody, and they're like, "Yeah, well, go ahead." Like, what if
yeah.
you know what I mean? They just didn't want to get anybody injured, at least
Hmm.
starters. Um,
Cooks 3 touchdowns in the last 4 games, so
yeah,
just keep that in
yeah,
mind.
yeah. So definitely, go look waiver wire ad right there.
There you go.
I'm on Ross St. Brown here, coming in the 4 spot for the
Another guy
Browns
from that
from that
Chargers
Browns game,
Detroit
Chargers
game.
Brown game. Yeah. So there's another game.
Detroit, yeah.
Oh yeah, Detroit. Sorry, my bad.
You're
Brown
seeing
Detroit
I'm
game.
on Ross St. Brown. That's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
why.
Exactly, exactly. That Brown just like got into
Messed
me.
you up. My bad.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have interrupted. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So 9 targets, 8 receptions, 156 yards, and a TD there. Also 2 rushing attempts for 9 yards. Not important there, 4.5 average, but he's putting it down in the air. Um, I love this guy, man. I
Yeah.
got him early when we first came out. Been balling out ever since. 26.5 fantasy points. I think he also didn't he get a thing also in the game. I think I remember something going on with him. Um, but yeah.
No, he was
Uh,
good.
Mike Brown, Mike Evans coming in the 5th spot here for Tampa Bay. Final on their game was 20-6 versus Tennessee. They got 10 targets, 6 receptions, 143 yards, and a touchdown. So it's always good to see Evans still, keeping it up. Dude. You get somebody decent back there that dude can score some points. He ends up going 23.3 fantasy points on the day as your tight end number 5. So, yep, game ball time. Who are you thinking, Ant?
Well, first I gotta, again, take it, cash in my receipts here. Jesus says he accepts my Evans Crow too, which I gave to him, I think, after like the second game of the year. Obviously, he and Baker have some sort of connection they worked on, and Baker's looked decent, and he's been looking Evans's way, definitely not Godwin's way. So I had this one all wrong. Again, not afraid to admit it. Things change, and that's what it is. And Jeezy, you'd be happy with me. I just accepted him in a trade in a dynasty league. I got a bunch of old guys, but guys that are, good. I had to trade away
Solid.
Madison, or I'm sorry, I had to trade away Addison and Rice, and you know how much I love both of those guys. I was able to get Addison and Rice in my rookie draft this year, for and I think like a second round pick or something like that, a future. But I
Future
got
secondary.
Cup, Hopkins, Evans, and somebody else uh in that trade. So it was a pretty interesting, decent trade. I went all in for the win now this year. Oh, and Geno Smith was in that trade as well too. So that's the league I was telling you about earlier. So Superflex Dynasty had no quarterbacks and was able to get Geno and all those wide receivers. So it was interesting. So yeah, GZ, I'm all there for you. And I guess with that said, how can I not give the ball to Mike Evans, man? So game ball goes to Mike Evans, making me eat crow. I'll give you that game ball there. You've been balling out this year, as always, my guy. And I've always been a Mike Evans fan. This year, I wasn't a Baker's fan, and I did set that straight in the beginning. I said it had nothing to do with Evans; it had to do with Baker. But Baker has proved me wrong, so I'm happy for you, Mike Evans. Who's your game ball going to?
I'm gonna go a little deeper. I didn't make the list, um, but he's been balling out the last couple weeks. And I think you even had him a little snippet about this guy, Noah Brown over there in Houston.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's my guy this week.
yeah, yeah. He went 7 for 8, 172 yards. Didn't get the touchdown, but the 172 yards is nice. And the dude has been balling out for last few
Last
games
3
here.
games, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
last 3 games doing decent numbers. So that guy's been a waiver wire pick. I think you had him as a waiver wire pick last week.
Yes, we did.
Definitely, he's moved up in if you didn't pick him up before and missed out on his last game, definitely worth a shot going forward. So that's who I'm going to give ball because he's a waiver wire guy, having a decent games, dude, and just coming out. Dude. Noah Brown, I do remember. I think he was a Cowboy before, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
He was. I'm with
that's
you
tough.
guys.
Let him go, man. It's too bad he was balling out over there too.
Should have swapped him for Gallup, huh? Maybe. All
Right,
right.
right.
Maybe. All right. So I have to give a commemorative game ball to Keenan Allen, man. Dude balled out, played hurt. Just a baller. QB wide receiver 1. Won
Coming
me a
in.
ton of leagues. Yeah. In my high value leagues. Got me going there with that Herbert Allen stack. So commemorative game ball to the wide receiver 1 overall and Keenan Allen. So there we go. But I figured Jeezy couldn't be mad at me for not giving the ball to Keenan Allen if I gave it to Mike Evans. So Jeezy, if you're still watching, I got you. I got you. All right. So let's move on to tight ends here. And then we'll get into some more questions and then finish up with our
Let's
waivers.
take a look at the tight ends of the week here. At your number 1 spot, TJ Hawkinson over there in Minnesota, eating because of Josh Dobbs. Ends up going 20. The game score was 27-19 versus New Orleans. He
15
got
targets.
15
Sorry.
targets. Yes, ridiculous number of targets as a tight end. That's a lot. You're happy with 7 to 8, maybe
Just
9
pulling
targets.
himself off the ground every time he got tackled too, and still out there balling.
Yeah.
I love these
11
guys.
receptions out of those targets, 134 yards and a TD. Ends up going for 24.9 fantasy points, like doing Kelsey numbers over there. So really, really balling out. Then we got at your number 2 spot, your guy George Kittle with he had a really nice run on one, 4 targets, 3 receptions, 116 yards and a TD. Over the shellacking of the Jacksonville Jaguars at 30 to 34. So he ends up with a 19.1 fantasy points on the day in the number 2 spot, George Kittle. Waiver wire out of the week again, and he's back again, is Trey McBride. Like he left, he ended the game was at 25 to 23 versus Atlanta. Another good high score, or decent score at least. 9 targets, 8 receptions, 131 yards. He ends up getting a 17.1 fantasy points on the day. He's another waiver wire out of the week here. My boy Jake Ferguson, who I had a couple weeks ago, as a hot waiver wire ad when he came
I
back.
saw
from the
you
bye.
start him over Andrews this week.
Yes, right.
And
Did
it
I
was the
do
right choice.
Did I
And
do
it was
right
the
or
right
what?
choice by like 2 points, I
Come
think it
on,
was.
we're
Yeah.
gonna eat on
Well done.
the Giants. What do we look at the what I mean? Like, come on. Like,
Yeah, but
we're
if he
gonna
didn't
ball
score
out.
that touchdown, 4 for 26 would have been pretty
Yeah,
bad. But
4
he
for
did get the
26
touchdown, so
would have been pretty bad. But he gets
Giants
the
are
touchdown.
terrible against
And I knew he was
Titans.
gonna get the touchdown. That's why I threw him in there for that.
Nice.
And then we got Tyler Conklin here, tight end number 5, coming from the New York Jets here. You got 16 to 12 at Las Vegas there, 7 to 7 targets. So you got all his targets for 70 yards, 10.5 fantasy points on the day. He looked pretty good. I mean, he was really helping the team out pretty well. So who are you going to give a game ball to on
For tight ends,
tight ends?
game ball, I'm giving it to Tyler Conklin, man. 7 for 7, 70 yards. Again, not a great game. I mean, I really should probably give it to Hawkinson because he killed the position. But for me, it's Conklin because he's my most drafted tight end on UnderdogFantasy.com on my best ball leagues. I went later great. I have several shares of Conklin thinking he'd have Aaron Rodgers thrown to him all year. I thought it was a nice little sleeper pick, but he's been pretty decent these last couple of weeks. Has kept me viable in several of my best ball leagues that I am in, where I am doing well. And I look down and I see my tight ends, and one of those 2 or 3 guys that I have is Tyler Conklin. So happy to have him as part of my team, and I'll give him that game ball for getting me some decent scores this week on my underdog best ball drafts or best ball teams, leagues, entries, whatever you want to call them. So shout out to Tyler Conklin, man, doing things. Appreciate you, Zach. Keep throwing it, Conklin.
Well,
Take home that $3 million for Get Right Fantasy here. Go ahead.
There you go. Right. Hey, that's a good pick if you get him right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with my guy that I had picked out at the beginning of the season. Although he lost me some faith there, he did come back. He was supposed to be in that chart, but unfortunately, the game was still going on. I don't think he got him in there yet. But Dalton Kincaid from Buffalo ends up going for 5 receptions out of his
Oh
six
yeah.
targets, got 51 yards and a touchdown. He ends up going 13.6 fantasy points on the day. So unfortunately, I know
Oh, he
that.
bumped out Conklin.
Yes,
Conklin's
he
tight
bombed
end
out
6.
Conklin.
Oh man, he bumped my guy out, but that's okay.
But
Shout
since
out to
I've
Kincaid.
just been high on this guy, I've been wanting to ball out as the #1 pick there for Buffalo, and just
Did
had
you
high
get him
hopes.
back in that league that you had to drop him
I don't
in?
remember. I don't even think I bothered to pick him up anymore.
Oh,
Because I have other guys that are
you
just
had better
better
options there, yeah.
that I just didn't have to worry about him anymore, anyways. But I didn't drop him in the other league because I might want to decide to keep him, but I don't think so. I don't know. You guys might have Laporta, and that's who I have to keep. You got Laporta much later than I did, unfortunately. So, good game though. I like them that
Happens.
he's still been getting looked at. Week in, week out. He's not a staple of that offense, I believe. So I think you could, trust him going forward to get you some decent fantasy points.
There you go. Let's see. Does that wrap up our top performers?
Yeah, top
I
performers.
think it
That's it.
does. All right, so we're done there. So let's get to the chat here really quick. We got shout out to Smokey using the Get Right Fantasy Network little tag here, so I was able to
Good
quickly get
looking
to
out.
his question first. So there we go. What happened? Did I unclick it?
Yeah. No,
Oh
I
yeah.
did, I did the time thingy.
Oh, okay.
Unless you had
So
done
he
that
says
already.
he dropped Roshan to pick up Conklin and placed Muth in IR, and he's been playing Taysom. So good job there.
Rough week
I
this
get-
week for Taysom. Did get a touchdown. Not a big performance, but he'll be bounced back.
yeah, there you go. I mean, I'm not great, holding both of them, but you know, if he had to drop Roshan, it wasn't that bad of a deal. He could start picking up steam, but we'll see. Gio says his main team was falling apart. Fields and Eckler went down. Lawrence and Adams weren't doing crap. He picked up Dak week 8 and been doing a little comeback now. He's 5-5 in that battle. So there you
Nice.
go, man. Way
There
to
you go.
battle back. Absolutely. Way to battle back. Gio says picked up Laporta week 2 on the waiver wire and dropped Pat. So things have been good. So there you go. That's how you want to manage things there. We got Roberto saying, would y'all rather have Brees or Javante? Brees for me. Almost by a lot too. Like,
Yeah. Reese is balling. The Jets are not bad anymore. They're kind of
yeah,
right.
well, their
Right in the
defense
ship.
is good enough, so they stay close. So it's not going to get scripted out. Javante's been looking better and better, but Brees just pops off the screen. Like he could just break runs at any time.
Yeah.
I haven't
He's a better
quite
player.
seen that burst yet from Williams.
Yeah.
I haven't
He's a
seen him
better
get it
player,
back yet.
period, though. You know what I mean? Like a better running
Yeah,
back.
even before their injuries, I think we had Brees ahead of Williams. Cadillac said, would you trade Keenan, Kyron, and Kittle for Walker, Andrews, and Thielen? No, I would not.
Keenan
I'm
Allen?
keeping Keenan Allen, Kyron Williams, and George Kittle for sure over Ken Walker, Mark Andrews, and Thielen. For sure. What about you? He says he's 4-6. But yeah, I'm for sure keeping
Walker?
Keenan and Kyron and Kittle.
Nah. Yeah, I wouldn't do it either. Nah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So we got EK using the ad get right.
Keenan and Kittle balling, dude. Kyron's about to come back.
Yeah, you got Kyron coming back. You waited this long. Like maybe if you would have done it 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, then I would have been better off.
But maybe, yeah. But now he should be
Yeah,
coming back
Keenan
this
is the
week. So
solid #1, especially the whole situation that's been going on over there.
yeah,
The Chargers,
by
how you
far.
gonna get rid of that
There's
dude?
no other wide receiver there.
Yeah, like
They're all hurt.
that's just craziness that you're doing over there. No, don't do that.
Yeah. So EK's using the ad get right too. He says trade away Nico, Pollard, and Rice to get Debo and Jonathan Taylor. I think I would do this trade. Take Taylor and Debo.
Trade away Nico, Pollard,
Get
and
out of
Rice.
Pollard while you can.
Yeah, you're
I
only
mean,
giving
don't get
away
me
really
wrong.
one
I
good
love
asset is
Nico and I
Nico.
love Rice. Yeah, I mean, I love Nico and I love Rice, but Nico's banged up with the calf. Who knows how long that lingers? Pollard's been underperforming. Rice is kind of up and coming, but you're getting
Yeah,
Debo,
you free
who
up a space for
now
a waiver
healthy,
wire
and
guy or
yeah,
something.
JT, yeah,
He'll
for
get you
sure.
some Devin Singletary or something.
Yeah, and opens you up a spot here for this upcoming week 13 by NATO too
That's
coming
what I'm
up.
saying.
So
Yeah, opens
yeah,
up. Yeah,
I'd do that trade. for sure, EK.
He's also
Let's
agreeing to
see.
not trade those 3 away. Exactly.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
for sure. We got Tycoon in the house. What's up, Tycoon? Our boy over here. Make sure you guys go check out the Fantasy Boardroom. Link is in the description. Throw him a sub. He's usually here on Wednesday nights. So yeah, make sure you guys go check out his show. He says he faced Dak in 2 of his most important leagues this week. Sad face there. So the good thing is, Tycoon, you have like 30 other leagues. So
And he's
although
and
it
then
was
like
2 of,
half of my leagues overall, I swear. He played
oh
my leagues.
man, you just had that matchup this
I agree
week.
with
So
you, Rasta. Not trading Keaton.
there it is. So we're all there. Even though I just traded him and it was in Dynasty and I'm in a rebuild, so I wasn't really needing him tanking this year, and I traded him for Devonta Smith in a second, but didn't look that good this week. So yeah.
Oh, and Roberto Perez, because he was the one that was asking about would y'all rather have Brees or Javante, so we agreed on Brees. Then he also kind of backed up his questions: would you trade either of them for Devonta Smith?
I
No, I
mean, you
wouldn't
could
do
take
it
a shot with Javante,
with
but I'd rather just
Javante.
have the running back. Like, I'd rather just keep the running back.
Yeah,
Like, you can find
It's-
guys like Noah Brown and stuff like on the waiver,
it's
so to
just
speak.
rough out there for running backs this year.
Yeah,
If you got some decent, solid ones that are putting in work, keep them.
yeah. So it's tough to get off those running backs right now. Got Smokey again, utilizing that at GRFN Fantasy. We appreciate it.
Thank
He
you.
says I would
It
rather
was
have
easy to find
Bigsby.
that. because
That's
of
what I
that.
mean. Yeah, it's perfect. Said I'd rather have Bigsby at this point over Roshan. I think I agree with you there. Just in case anything were to happen out ETN, but I don't even want to say that because I have way too many shares of him. So yeah, it's just there's not a 3-headed backfield there, and at least Bigsby's the number 2, whereas Roshan's just like the 3rd down back over there. And again, with
Rather
Fields
have some
coming back,
Tajay
he's probably
Spears
not
at this
dropping
point.
off. Yeah, he's probably not dropping off to his running backs. Like Justin Fields going to take off and run, or try to throw it downfield. He says Herbert coming back, Foreman was getting most of the work. Just Bigsby seems good if ETN is down. So yeah, that's what I was kind of saying there. So let's see.
Yeah,
What else do we got here?
Going on.
Yeah, so he said, and that's why I specified it was 2 of the most important leagues. So I did catch that. But yeah, it's still tough. Well, the fact after that, you said you face him in a ton of other leagues too. So it wasn't even just the fact that it was those 2 leagues. It was several leagues, including the 2 most important ones. And I was saying, I think I was telling Frank earlier today too. I was like, it's much better when you like, okay, Niners won. I did good in fantasy, and I most importantly won the leagues, the main leagues that I wanted to win.
Yeah.
It's always a
all good,
nice
right?
day. Yeah, that's always a nice day. That's why I'm smiling real big here today. Especially coming off that Niners win.
On my 2 days, I'm on a comeback like this other guy's talking about.
Right.
Right back up.
There you go.
All the right guys right above me
train.
lost. I'll just go.
Yeah. And Tycoon saying Bigsy's been terrible. He's legit been one of the worst backs in the league in his limited work. So yeah, just kind of depends. I know they did get rid of Jermichael Hasty, who I think was picked up by who picked up Jermichael Hasty? Somebody just picked up Jermichael Hasty, but I know he's not there anymore. So it's just more so if he goes down as a pure handcuff. But yeah, he's not going to be flexible with any standalone value, Bigsby. Whereas Roshan could have some standalone value for you, just kind of be a bye-week filler as things shake out between Herbert and Foreman. I'm just interested when Herbert is activated, if he does come back this week, are they going to make one of those running backs inactive because they weren't running all 3 of them in the beginning of the year? They only had 2 of them active, and Foreman was inactive. So it'll be interesting if Foreman just goes back after the showing that he's had. So interesting to see what happens there. And last one here, and then we'll get into our top waiver ads. What do you guys think about Ty Chandler? Is he worth picking up the stash? So that's a perfect little segue here to get into our top waiver ads of the week. So we're going to go position by position here to let you guys know who we're looking at here on the waiver wire. We'll talk about anyone who is 65% owned or less. And if you have questions about anybody else, just let us know. So QB Waiver Adds of the week. I'll take the first one here because I think I only have one. That's Josh Dobbs. with JJ potentially coming back right now, with the weapons that he has behind the line he has, I think he could easily be a top 10, quarterback the rest of the year. He's only 58% owned on Sleeper right now, 53% on Yahoo. Not only is he like a great, QB2 in your 2 QB or super flex leagues, like I said, being potential top 10 for the rest of the season, he could be playable here in 1 QB leagues. I think I like him over guys like Trevor Lawrence right now. I think he's right in there kind of with Purdy. You're not quite sure, but I think a week with Justin Jefferson could completely change my mind. There as well too. So he's kind of in a similar situation as Purdy. Just Purdy has even more weapons around him than Dobbs has, but Dobbs could have potentially the best weapon in the NFL that he'll be throwing to. So that's who I have. Josh Dobbs. Go get him.
Yeah, for
Who you
sure. I'll
got?
just throw one last guy in there. I mean, there's really not much to be had out there right now, but Russell Wilson finally put 2 decent games together. And if you need him for this bye week here, not a bad guy to maybe go after. They're playing Minnesota, the team that you just mentioned. I figure it's going to be a shootout with these 2 teams over there. So I think it's a good option for next week if you're out there to get him. 46% on Yahoo, 57% on ESPN. I don't not have the sleeper numbers, but he's not that widely owned or started. But he could be an option for next week.
44% on Sleeper.
There you go. So we're
And
in that
he's
threshold area there where he's like
right.
could be available.
And he's honestly not really done that bad all year. I mean, if you look at his numbers versus like Trevor Lawrence's numbers,
No, he started terrible.
not even 20.95 and 6 point. Then his week 2, 35
Oh
points.
wait, hold on.
Week 3 is
Yeah,
19. And then
yeah.
week 4, he's at 30. Week 5,
Yeah.
23. And then he had
I
a
was looking
bad
at
week
somebody
against
else. Sorry.
Kansas City. Yeah, no, it's okay. Then he just had a bad week against Kansas City with 9.85.
Yeah.
That's the one we all saw on TV, which is why we all kind of remember him just being awful. Green Bay, he wasn't great, but still 17.8. That was more than what Derek Carr,
Right.
got you this week or in a couple other weeks. And then played Kansas City again, had a great game, 23 points, went on a bye week, and then came back and had 24 points. So,
And it's not widely owned.
that's not a bad. Yeah, that's not a bad run.
Yeah.
As far as consistency there. So yeah, he definitely could be someone to consider. It's just it feels gross putting him in your lineup, just to me. But
yeah, it sounds awful.
according, if
It
you
was
take the
awful
name
when
off
you
the
didn't say
jersey,
it, you know what I mean? But if you look at the numbers, it's definitely like I said against Minnesota, they got a good shot at having a decent game.
yeah, you might not be able to use him against Cleveland, but we just saw Lamar and them all kind of go off over
I
there, have
understand.
a
1 week
shootout.
maybe
So
we'll pick up. You got
yeah, for
somebody
sure.
there.
And then week 13, it'll be at Houston in a dome, against CJ Stroud. So that could be a potential
Yeah,
shootout there as well
another
too.
shootout again.
So yeah, and then he gets Detroit shootout, New England, which may be a little tough, but he gets them at home, and then the Chargers are 15, 16, 17. So could have a nice potential shootout with the
Might
Chargers
even
in
run
week
at the end
17
there.
in the championship. So might be a little stash that you can have. Good one, Frank. Good one.
Yeah, no worries.
I would have never even thought of that one. It didn't even cross my mind. So well done.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Well done.
I
All
had to
right.
say,
And then
I was like, I'm telling you, I didn't even want to say that
he's
name.
like, he doesn't barely want to say it even. So yeah, just a couple honorable mentions, of course, in the shallower leagues. You do have guys like Sam Howell, but he's like 70-80% owned at this point. Josh Dobbs,
Yeah.
or I did mention him already. Guys like Baker Mayfield, they're over our 65% threshold. But I'm staying away from guys like Jordan Love still, even though he had a decent game this week, finishing as a QB 12. I'm still not feeling that too
Fool me
much.
once,
And yeah, and
right?
Kyler Murray, he's exactly. Kyler Murray, he's also like 80+% owned, so we can't see him out
Yeah,
there well.
Kyler
But
Murray
if
got
he is out
screwed
there,
up real quick.
yeah, probably worth the stash. Yeah, he was only at like 40-something% when we did that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, so we'll move on
changed
here.
overnight like nothing, right? See him come play
Exactly.
decent game up, snatch him up.
Exactly. So we'll move on here. If you guys do have questions, we see them popping up in the chat. So make sure you guys drop them in there, and then once we get done
For
with
sure,
our
you
waiver
get
ads
that
here,
at Get Right at Frank at Anthony in there. It helps us differentiate the questions from the chat because there's a lot of people going on out of there.
for sure. And we'll make sure we get to those questions before we end here. So let's get to our running back waiver ads of the week. For me, I have Ty Chandler, who was mentioned earlier, 15% owned on Sleeper, 8% on Yahoo. Obviously, with Madison being in concussion protocol, we've seen most guys that have a concussion and go in the protocol not necessarily clear just in 1 week. I think only like Purdy and somebody else did. And Purdy just kind of had symptoms. They didn't say he had a concussion, so he was able to progress through it quickly. Yeah, he had 15 carries for 45 yards, scored a touchdown, looked pretty good running the ball against the tough New Orleans defense there. Respectable 3.0 yard average, not great. But again, no other real competing running back, obviously, with Cam Akers gone. Really nobody else there to share the role, so he could have that role by himself. So to find a guy like that at this point could be worth, a good amount of money on your fabs, and worth, a top waiver claim if you're really hurting for running backs. Good thing is not a lot of running backs got hurt this week, so hopefully you're not really in that, situation, and you could just add him as some depth to see what happens. I do have Devin Singletary, who we talked about. Like you were mentioning, looks like he may have lost his job. Hasn't been very effective with Pierce's ankle kind of still lingering because he didn't practice all last week. It wasn't like he was limited and then was kind of ruled out, game time. Yeah. They ruled him out early in the week. They obviously didn't put him on IR, but maybe it's not healing as quickly as they think. And the way Singletary just ran, maybe they're not going to rush him back either.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they're just not rushing him back. They're like,
exactly. No, take the time you need. So we'll see how this offense keeps rolling here with CJ Stroud and Devin Singletary. And he gives him more variety, being used in the passing game. But CJ Stroud's throwing the ball downfield. He has no problem, or he's not looking to just check off to his running backs there. And then a guy, of course, we have to mention here, Keaton Mitchell. Small usage, only had 3 carries, 2 targets. But he's explosive, man. He's like a Devon Achane light. Early on, he missed like a passing assignment. He's still a rookie. I think that was one of the things that Harbaugh said, that he has to improve on because he wasn't asked to do that in college. So just, something to kind of keep in mind. When it comes to Mitchell, he could still have a lot to, earn. So, but if something were to happen to Gus or, Justice Hill, there could be, opportunities for him. So he's definitely something, someone you can stash. I wouldn't really be still starting him, even though he's had, 2 decent games scoring a touchdown. It's, to me, complete luck with the amount of usage he's had. But again, if you're in a tight situation, then maybe you just hope for the best and throw him in if you need to. So those are my top 3 running backs this week. Do you have any others, Frank, that you want to add on there?
I'm going to throw in Rico Dowdle there out of the Cowboys. He ended up getting 12 targets, 12 attempts, 79 yards, 21 long, and a touchdown this week. So, I just think that they're going to probably see what they have there, maybe put him more in a timeshare situation, or at least get more touches to help out uh, Pollard here. And I think it'll get both of them going. I think they could both eat over there as long as they get some more touches like that. You got a goal line touch and whatnot. I got to look at the goal line numbers, but pretty decent. And I was like, it's worth a start here or stash, and just to see what happens, just to see if they continue to use them more moving forward, and especially if you're obviously you're desperate and need somebody, you might want to spot start them. So yeah.
There you go. Anybody else, or that wrap up running backs for you?
No, that's about it. I mean, those are the top 3, 4 guys here. Everybody else is like you already got. We've already mentioned. Tajay Spears. I think I mentioned that handcuff him.
Yeah, just beside your basic handcuffs. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Besides your basic handcuffs, so those guys are already
Your Zach
kinda sorta used.
Charbonnets, your
Yeah,
Jalen Warrens. Yeah, most of those guys are
either
rostered
on there
already too.
taken already, or they're just not produced that much. They're not guys you're gonna start. They're just kind of like if
If
the
you
other
have a
guy
few
goes
roster
down,
spots,
you gotta yeah, exactly. You got to next man up, ready to fire up. So
cool.
yeah,
It's nice not having a ton of running back injuries for a week, so we'll
yeah,
we'll
right.
we'll keep taking that. Yeah, absolutely.
Stick to
All
your
right,
guys.
so we'll move on here, and again, you guys got stuff in the chats. Go ahead and drop them in there. Again, put an at get right at Rasta at Frank at and whatever it is. Just put at something so we know you're asking a question there. It's easier to find through the chat. So we'll move on here to our waiver wire ads here of the week. My number 1 ad here is my boy. You mentioned him, gave him a game ball. Mr. Noah Brown over here with Houston, 20.7 points this week. And like I mentioned earlier, if Nico's calf tends to linger, basically he's a must start, for me at this point until, proven otherwise. We did see Robert Woods return to the lineup, but, that didn't seem to matter. If anything, it, almost helped out. just at least relieve some of the coverage. But I mean, Noah Brown was just running open, and CJ Stroud was hitting him, man. Chunk yardage. It wasn't like he was just dinking and dunking and doing a bunch of yards after the catch. These were 20, 30 yards down the field throws and catches that they were connecting on. So again, 7 catches, 8 targets for 172 yards. You love the usage. Only 36% owned on Sleeper, 25% on Yahoo. So if he's out there, and again, it could be a little bit of a gamble because if Nico comes back and obviously they have Tank and Woods and Collins, that's like 4 wide receivers. They all can't eat. So we'll see what that pecking order truly is once Nico gets back. I think the 3 of them definitely have their defined roles, but Woods is the kind of veteran there, so it could be a little tough. But at least for now, I'll worry about the later. If you need to win a week or you got guys on bye next week, it could be worth picking them up. But you're not going to unload everything. Yeah, you're not going to unload everything because you're not sure what could happen later. But the connection I've seen so far, how can you not at least want this guy on your team? Another guy to mention here is A.T. Perry, wide receiver for New Orleans. He finished with 10.8 points this week. He was the one who came in for replacement Mike Thomas. He saw 84% of the snaps that game. So you like to see it. Only 1% owned on Sleeper, 0% on Yahoo. Only had 4 targets, 2 catches, 38 yards, but scored a touchdown. And they are going on bye this week, week 11. Carr should come back. So again, you're not spending a ton of money on this, and maybe you don't even have to get them this week. Maybe just someone to think about next week, or once waivers and everything process, if nobody grabs them, and you have an extra spot, maybe you can pick them up for free off the free agency wire. Is kind of how I would play that. Maybe you throw $1, on them or something like that. If you do have that extra spot, just something to look into again, because Mike Thomas did suffer a significant injury, so. It's going to be Shaheed and Olave there.
And may have legal troubles.
Yeah. And the legal stuff too. I don't think, alleged legal troubles. Another guy I have here on the list, Jalen Guyton, wide receiver for the Chargers. He scored 12.1 fantasy points, only 1% owned on Sleeper, 0% on Yahoo. I had 6 targets, 4 catches, 41 yards, and a touchdown. And then his running mate, Quentin Johnston, finally came to the party. Saw less targets, only 4 targets, had the same 4 catches for 34 yards, also scored a touchdown. So that was good to see. Quentin Johnson, 45% owned on Sleeper, 29% on Yahoo. You got to hope that, hopefully the connection starts building there. It was nice to see him score the touchdown and at least catch all 4 targets instead of the drops that he's kind of had lately with Quentin Johnston. So again, he could be poised for a second half, breakout as his confidence continues to build. And the defense obviously giving up 41 points.
So you got to pick one, though, man.
You can't pick positive
stretch. You're going to go Jalen Guyton or Quentin Johnson?
Well, I'm just saying, depends on what you're looking for. I mean, I think based off the percentages, Quentin Johnson's the guy because, Josh Palmer is going to come back, and Jalen Guyton's the one who just got, pulled up off the practice squad. So he's probably the one that's going to go back down. Once Palmer comes back, you just hope, so to me, I'd be putting more stock on Johnson, of course. But again, if you just need a 1-week flyer, you could always throw Guyton in. He's attached to Herbert and in a throwing positive offense. So those are just kind of things you're looking for when you're looking for a Hail Mary. Better option would be probably Brandon Cooks based on his track record. Maybe I should have left that one for you. But 27.8 points here, 49% owned on Sleeper, 38% on Yahoo. 10 target game, 9 catches, 173 yards, and a touchdown. Not going to be seeing the Giants every week. Actually, no more weeks after this. But again, he has been producing, and hopefully the offense sees that they've been doing a lot better once they've started involving Cooks. So hopefully that's a trend, we see continue here.
Yeah, and you always want to see those kind of things develop. And he's also got a couple soft matchups coming up against Carolina and Washington next. So
right,
you kind of feel kind of comfortable starting in those 2 matchups. And if obviously he continues to do well there, well then you got a guy for the future as well.
right.
So definitely worth the pickup
for sure. And one last guy I have here, Trenton Irwin, wide receiver for Cincinnati. He scored 12.4 points, had 2 catches, 54 yards, but one of them was, I think, a 38-yard touchdown. So he was able to, score those 12.4 points, 14% owned on Sleeper, 8% on Yahoo. But we already heard, again, they're playing the Ravens here this Thursday. We already heard T. Higgins being rolled out. Boyd is 75% owned, so he couldn't make our list here as far as a waiver wire guy. He would, of course, if he is available for you, would probably be the main one. He did see 12 targets in that game, dropped a would-be game-winning touchdown that actually kind of cost them the game. So, of course, you hope he bounces back and wants to play hard, again, without T. Higgins there to do that. And what people don't realize is Boyd is actually, even though he's the slot guy and the third wide receiver, he's actually like the 28-year-old veteran on this team. Most people kind of think the small little slot wide receiver guy is always the younger guy, but Boyd is actually the more experienced veteran in this wide receiver room. He's kind of the mentor to Chase and Higgins, if you even believe that. So, Higgins I think is like 24, 25, and Jamar Chase only like 23. So, so Boyd sitting at like 27, 28. He's the veteran there, so he should know better. And yeah. So those are my wide receiver waiver ads for this week. So who you got? Anyone I missed there? Wide receiver's kind of my thing. So
yeah, no, we know you like them. I just got a couple guys here that I think should be worthy mentioning at least. Again, not very high picks on them because they're inconsistent some of them. But Jaden Reed here, 5 of 5 receptions, 84 yards and a touchdown this last week over here at Green Bay, and Christian Watson's just not doing anything. He's always seemed to be the guy that's been getting more consistent gameplay over there. So he had last 4 weeks is 8 points, 4 in their 14. So again, not the best, but at least somebody you want to take a look at in case you have a tight spot. I think you mentioned. No, I think that's about it. I think that should be it.
good list there. All right, so let's move on to tight ends, and then we'll get to the chat here. So again, if you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat, and we'll be getting to those here before we head out. So the only tight end I really have here on my waiver would be Trey McBride. We mentioned it earlier, first tight end in Arizona to go over 100 yards in like the last 20, 30 years or something crazy like that. 8 catches, 9 targets, again for those 131 yards, 64% owned on Sleeper, 59% owned on Yahoo. And of all the tight ends kind of this week, he was the one that was under that 65% threshold that to me is worth rostering and starting. So did you have anybody else besides McBride there?
Maybe I missed Tyler Conklin, 70 yards there. The Jets seems to be the only guy to be doing something there as far as tight ends. So maybe start seeing him do some more things going forward. So yeah, that's about the only other guy I would mention.
All right, there we go. Yeah, if you're in desperate need for a start. So yeah, we'll
Those
get
are
out of
waiver
that
wire
here.
ads for the week. Yeah.
Yeah, those are our waiver wire ads for the week. So we'll finish up here with the chats that we have. I think we got like over 20 messages here, so I'll try to get back to where we left off at. I think it was with Randy Miller here. So let me go find that. There it is. All right. So Randy's saying, hopefully you're still with us. He says, would you guys trade a bench player for Sam Howell? He's prepping for his week 13 bye. So yeah, I guess it would just depend on what bench player you're talking about. But if it's literally just a guy that you'd be willing to drop, then yeah, you could definitely beat the waiver wire and go grab Sam Howell. We all like him.
Sounds like maybe you can't pick up Dobbs from the waiver wire. I mean,
well, he's saying specifically for week 13. Let's see what the matchups are. Week 13. So you have the Commanders playing the Dolphins, so that should be a nice shootout there. And who does? Oh, Minnesota's on a bye week 13, so that's why you can't go get Dobbs. And that's the bye NATO. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 6 teams on a bye. The Giants, the Vikings, the Raiders, the Bears. Oh, that's more. The Ravens and the Bills. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 teams.
So yeah, in that case, you should do that.
Absolutely.
Definitely
get out ahead of that now.
Because if you're in that situation where your starting quarterback is down on week 13, and that's a good guy to go after. Should be
For
able to
sure.
get him too cheap, not too expensive.
And like we always say, before just dropping someone, no, he is saying trade a bench player. So yeah, so
Yeah.
definitely try to see if you can trade versus just dropping someone and picking him up. But obviously, if you try to trade, that means someone is already rostering Sam Howell. So yeah, it would just really kind of depend. So we do our buy sell trade show, on Wednesday. So if you've looked at a couple teams and have some ideas, shoot them to us, or you can always reach us directly at Rastafarian at Get Right Fantasy on Twitter, or directly through our DMs. All of our contact info is in the description there. You can always let us know there. Let's see. Geo and Tycoon talking about Geo's son making a great call. No car over. He said no.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Well, I'm
funny.
going to skip on down to a lot of the conversation here to Jeezy.
There you go.
I said this during the Week 10 preview, and I'll say it again. Go get Rondell Moore. He's available. That is a good guy to mention. He did get like 6 targets. I think. I'll chase that every week. He's like, I'll chase it.
Yeah, 8 targets, 5 catches for 43 yards.
Yeah, and now with the Kyler Murray back, I think he's a guy to definitely be looking at. Should have better days ahead. Good call on him.
There you go. I'm still not touching him, but I've been wrong on everyone's. Jeezy's been calling, so yeah, he'll go for that. But yeah, I always say it too. Yeah, 8 targets. We'll do that. Y'all think Kyler and Hollywood connection will be better moving forward? You're asking the wrong guy, man. You're asking the wrong guy. They do have some tough matchups, coming up. That's been, just my biggest thing. They got Houston, Rams, and they get Pittsburgh a bye week in week 14. And then they get San Francisco, Chicago, Philly for the playoff run. So San Francisco, Chicago, Philly. It's pretty tough. I mean, I guess quarterbacks have kind of done, pretty well because you can't really run on San Francisco or Philly. But you just saw, Jacksonville not even put up barely just 3 points against us. I know Philly's pretty tough. Chicago should be okay if you make it, past week 15. And then how confident are you to start Kyler in week 17? So, yeah, that's just kind of my
goes
thing.
to that schedule that he doesn't care for.
It's just, it's just so tough.
Guys just play and they play regardless of the defense that they're playing against.
Yeah, if he's a baller, he's a baller, man.
Sometimes game script doesn't matter. You got to get the points in there somewhere or another. He always just finds a way. I mean, he's a top wide receiver.
Quarterback.
I did like that. Yeah, quarterback. Yeah, sorry.
Jesus said add Musgrave over Conklin as far as a potential waiver wire add there. So that's not bad either. So there you go. Tycoon's just adding it should be. It was strong last year. I think they'll find their chemistry again between him and Hollywood. Derek said it can't get much worse. He was shocked Hollywood only had 1 catch.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anyway,
let's see.
We can wrap it up here.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So we appreciate you guys, man. Getting out of here at a decent hour tonight. I mean, it's almost midnight, but still.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll be back here on Wednesday for our buy sell trade targets. We'll do buy sell hold on the most traded guys that we have. We'll take your live trade Q&A questions here from the chat. So hopefully you guys will tune in to us on Wednesday. We'll be back here again. So for Dustin, for Classic Mike, for Frank, unless there's anything else you got.
Make sure you find the 1,000 subscriber video, put in your comment, get that ring. That's the only thing I got to say about that.
Absolutely. If you guys haven't already, go back. It should be pinned there in this live chat. So make sure you guys go watch the video, throw it a like, and here we go. I was able to scroll back up and follow that link and leave your comment, in there. So we'll be doing that drawing next Wednesday, the 22nd. So good luck to whoever's gonna take that thing down. So again, for all of us here at Get Right Fantasy, man, we appreciate you guys. We couldn't do this thing with here without you. So other than that, we'll see you guys next week, and we're out of here.
Fantasy is the play. Marking nothing, but I tune every Friday. Strategies provided.